under the Defective block scheme will be fully mortgageable and insurable. Minister Charlie McConalogue said that government will be insisting on cast iron guarantees from banks and insurance companies to see this is the case. However, the focus group says those guarantees will be given dependent on whether or not the work is certified by a registered engineer, and Engineers Ireland are considering that ahead of the next meeting in February. They also say it's not a matter for political demands or grandstanding. Focus group member Seamus Devaney says if engineers don't sign off on the work, then government will have to revisit the scheme, and with foundations not being replaced, he believes that's very likely.
Engineers Ireland effectively have gone away for 4 weeks now to hopefully come back to us with a definitive, clarified position on this issue. And that then we can take to the banks and say, does this make these homes mortgageable or not? I don't want to jump ahead of that and say that, of course, it doesn't make them mortgageable because they still contain deleterious materials, and that would include a risk that the banks have no appetite for. Banks don't loan on uncalculated risk.
Maydown Tactical Support Group officers have been conducting road safety operations across Derry City and Strabane District, the results of which found a driver speeding almost 30 miles per hour over the speed limit and the seizure of suspected drugs. Sean O'Regan reports.
The team were assisting district colleagues with events as well as carrying out road safety checks. On Thursday last, the officer on patrol recovered suspected Class B drugs from a vehicle in the Waterside area of the city. As a result, the vehicle was seized and a teenager was arrested, then charged with offences. The following day, a driver was detected travelling at 79 miles an hour in a 50 zone. The PSNI is urging the public to adhere to the Fatal 5. Don't drink or drive, slow down, don't drive carelessly, wear a seatbelt and don't use your phone while driving. It added that it's a shared responsibility of all road users to keep themselves and each other safe.
Some people with disabilities are experiencing financial abuse. The National Advocacy Service reports that this is despite new laws which presume every adult has the capacity to make their own decisions until proven otherwise. In certain cases, people are facing banking and digital exclusion, while others had their money restricted or limited by family members. The report shows that people with disabilities can face increased pressure and resistance when they attempt to exercise their autonomy and independence. Looking out for weather, mainly cloudy this morning with outbreaks of rain and some further falls of sleet or snow, transitioning to mostly rain by mid-morning. The rain will become patchier through the afternoon with some sunny spells developing. Highs of 4 to 6 degrees with mostly moderate southwest to west winds, fresh at times in the northwest, and a yellow snow ice warning remains in operation until 11 a.m. this morning. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back again at 10 o'clock.
For when a right turn becomes a wrong turn. Get up to €70 off car insurance with An Post Insurance at onpostinsurance.ie or call us today. €70 or 20% discount will be applied, whichever is lower, subject to a minimum premium of €355 or €345, depending on policy underwriter. Applied consecutively for new customers only. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as An Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Best price online.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning. It's 4 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 16th of January 2024. And a very welcome to the 9 till noon show, broadcasting live across the region on air and across the world from the northwest of Ireland online. It's great to have you on board, and we want your views and your comments, your stories into us right now. Our phone lines are open for you. WhatsApps and texts to 086 60 25,000. 086 60 25,000. If you're outside the Republic, it's 00353 86 60 25,000. And you can give us a call in 074 91 25,000 with that same international dialing code if you're outside the Republic. Emails from across the world to comments@highlandradio.com. And of course, you can comment on our social media. If you choose to watch the show, that option is there for you. We are on YouTube, so you can watch us on your smart TV or your Fire Stick. Highland Radio Ireland is the URL there, or the name of the channel. We're across your mobile devices on that app, as well as Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport, and broadcasting live on X. Okay, the newspapers from the regions this morning. It's just one this morning. It's the Donegal Democrat. And there's been a warm welcome by Donegal Municipal District Councillors to the news that work is to commence on January 22nd on what will be an upgraded Diamond Central Civic Space area for Donegal Town. The announcement was made at this week's monthly meeting of the MD in Donegal Town, where it was also revealed that 97 buses a day pick up and drop passengers off at the bus stop located outside the Abbey Hotel, and that did not include tourist buses which arrive in the summer and at other times of the year. So just give that figure again, 97 buses a day, and that doesn't include summer buses as well. At a previous meeting on analysis of the number of users and their specific timeframes for utilising the bus parking facilities outside the hotel was given, it was said that discussions had commenced with a local landowner who's developing a site some 400 metres from the existing bus stop, which may help resolve the congestion. I would argue there isn't really bus stopping facilities there at all. Yes, they can pull in outside the Abbey Hotel, but there's not facilities or spaces. And that's not questioning the reporting in the paper, by the way. It's just they're only reporting how it was described to them. The Irish Times this morning, Garda are examining a warning that the hotel at the centre of a standoff over accommodation for asylum seekers could be burned. Some 17 international protection applicants entered Racket Hall Hotel yesterday amid scuffles between Gardaí and prosecutors, which saw one person arrested. Yesterday, Fianna Fáil TD for Tipperary, Jackie Cahill, told RTE that he'd reported to the Garda a warning that has been made to him that the hotel would be burned down. Now, I've seen myself numerous, when I say numerous, 4 threats the same calibre. He said it was a very isolated incident, but that you only have to have one person to have an arson attack. You don't have to have everyone agreeing with it. A full investigation of the matter has not been launched. In response to queries, a spokesperson for the Garda said that while it does not comment on specific conversations with third parties, the force can confirm information was received and it was now being assessed. So there's a huge controversy outside that facility in North Tipperary. People have protested overnight. And what we're seeing is more and more of these protests taking place. It was very clear that a decision was made that these people were going into that hotel, which is the last hotel in that town in which it's located. They were going in by hook or by crook because there was a large Garda presence there. Not really nice to see the young children. Now, people will say it's the Guards' fault, people will say it's the protesters' fault. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but sad to see the younger ones having to see that as they went in. As I say, some of you will blame the Guards, some of you will blame the protesters, but still, they did have to see it. Some good news yesterday, carrying it in the papers today, about your electricity costs going down. Gas and electricity prices may fall by 15% amid a return to normality. Households can expect more energy price cuts this year after Electric Ireland announced a second reduction in its tariffs in the past few months. Consumers could be in line for another 10 to 15% decrease in electric and gas prices, according to energy scientist Paul Dean. He said this would bring the cost of electricity for a typical household down to around $1,500 a year. This is in contrast to the cost last year of around $2,000 per household. $2,000 sounds about right. Very, very expensive. However, before Russia invaded Ukraine, the annual cost of electricity for a year was around €1,100. Asked about the latest announcement by Electric Ireland that it was cutting electricity prices and the standing charge by 8% in March, Dr. Dean said this is the start of a return to normality for electricity prices. But there's an awful lot going on around the world that could see an uptick again very, very quickly, I'm sure. On to the Mail this morning. Disabled people do not want to be pawns in the assisted dying debate, advocates say, as they also warn against arguments around new legislation in this area, sparking commentary with eugenic overtones about who's worthy of support to live. The Independent Living Movement Ireland organisation will today warn politicians that disabled people do not want to be political football in the debate around assisted dying in Ireland. The Special Oireachtas Committee on Assisted Dying will reconvene this afternoon after the winter recess to begin its final weeks of debate around assisted dying legislation and whether it should be introduced in this country. And what are your views on that? We have discussed it here and there in the past, but we're getting to the point now whereby decisions may actually be made on a national level as to whether or not it can be introduced here or not. The conversation is going on all the time. I mean, there's a storyline, I believe, in Coronation Street, is it at the moment, about someone who has been diagnosed with MND. I believe it's MND. And they're teasing out the conversation about assisted dying. So as I say, normally the soaps follow what's being talked about, because to try and stay relevant, I suppose. But anyway, my point being is do you believe that assisted dying should be introduced into this country? If you do, why? If you don't, why? What are your concerns? Peter Kearns of the ILMI will say the Oireachtas prioritising a committee on assisting people to die as opposed to a committee examining how to improve services to allow disabled people to live in dignity is a worrying development, which is a really, really good point, actually. And a little later on in the programme, we're going to mention it to you now. We're going to be carrying a story, and it's really quite a worrying development, but we can't access the speaker until after 11, but we can have the conversation between now and then, because Donegal's only child and adolescent counselling service is having to close, which is really quite shocking and has triggered a great deal of upset amongst people who have used the service. And a lot of people have used the service. 15,000 people have accessed counselling. These are young and adolescent people, children and adolescents that have accessed these services provided by the Rafo Dyson Centre. They have a centre in Letterkenny, which was very useful for people in Letterkenny. But what also was excellent about this service, and I say it in the past tense, I hope this can be reversed, because they only need 60 grand to keep going, right? Now, I don't understand how this can be allowed to happen. There are people with great influence in this county, be it local representatives, councillors, TDs, ministers, government TDs, opposition TDs, that hopefully are going to be all over this to try and get the funding from the HSE in Tusla or wherever it might be, the 60k to keep this service going. There are 26 odd councillors that are offering supports to people, not just in Letterkenny, but also Dunfanaghy, Stranola, Creasla, Buncrana, local community funded projects at Hughie's Corner in Carndonagh and Gemmesy's Legacy of Hope in Dunlow. So right across the county, with the exception of the south of the county, but be that as it may. We're going to be discussing this on the programme later. Have you used the Rafo Dyson Centre services? What do you think of the news that for the sake of €60,000, these services are being fully withdrawn now, being closed down? And I think if that's allowed to happen, all the connections with the people that work there, the councillors and all what, it'll be very hard perhaps to reconstitute that if someone changes their mind into the future about funding it. We have a mental health crisis. We have an awful situation with pressures on our young people and our adolescents. We know how hard it can be for them to get support and counselling, and we have the only dedicated service for that is on the brink of closure. They've announced the closure effectively. They told their staff. Can it be reversed? Well, we'll speak to the head of it a little later on. But I just hope that those that might have influence in this county will see this as an emergency and also realise the positivity that could come from a really small financial announcement and get on this today and get it sorted and get this reversed, get them funded. We'll be talking about it later, but we want to hear your views as well. Are you upset at the news that this service might be closing? Maybe you've had young people in your life, or maybe you were that young person or are that young person that have accessed their services, their counselling services. Let us know why you believe the centre should not be allowed to close. An interesting development in the Irish Daily Star, just in terms of, what you can and cannot sue for. Radio DJ Dave Fanning has launched defamation proceedings against a Hong Kong news site and Microsoft over the publication of his picture alongside an article stating an Irish broadcaster had gone on trial for alleged sexual misconduct. The article was published by an online news network entity called BNN of an article on October 11th last, accompanied with Mr Fanning's image, entitled "Prominent Irish Broadcaster Faces Trial Over Alleged Sexual Misconduct." It was written by a person whose name, Kasturi was their first name, Char Kaborti, their second. The defendant, the defamatory article, which states that the broadcaster's identity was being withheld due to legal restrictions and that he faces trial for allegedly engaging in sexual activities with a child under 12, was also allegedly republished on Microsoft's news service MSN on the same date it had been published by BNN. So he's taking a case in that regard, and Microsoft, I'm sure, through their news network, just pulled it automatically from the offending website. There's a good call. I think a lot of you would back this. I think it's a bit late in the day, because I wonder now if the government might be inclined to do this, because there's been a big uptake of 0.0 alcohol. But the government should slash taxes on non-alcoholic beers and wines to boost the spirits of people taking part in Dry January, a former minister claims. This is in The Sun. Fine Gael's Charlie Flanagan is taking part in the trend that sees people give up booze for a month, but he's raging against the price of non-alcohol beers in all pubs and shops, which cost the same as regular tipples. The Laois Offaly TD has written to Finance Minister Michael McGrath, urging him to slash the 23% VAT on non-alcohol beers and wines. As I say, I think they make up a decent proportion of sales now, so the government might be against losing out on that revenue, because I think the fight to sort of get them into bars has been won. But we shall see. What do you think? Would you like to see VAT rates on non-alcohol beers cut so that they're cheaper and encourage more people to drink them? And the pubs wouldn't be at a loss, because they get the same level of profit. It would be the state that would lose out. And the Irish Daily Mirror: more than 250,000 calls for help were received by the Society of St Vincent de Paul last year. That's a 10% increase on contacts in 2022. And just over a third of callers were requesting help with food. Close to 30,000 people who sought help from SVP last year were doing so for the first time. Some 20,000 calls relating to those seeking help with energy and utility bills, while another 33,000 were from people struggling with both food and energy costs. And I know many of you out there support St Vincent de Paul and the work that they do, and we are pleased to be able to platform them whenever they need to speak publicly. And I'm sure the money that you raised was well spent in helping those people who called seeking assistance there.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Discover the ultimate experience in the spa orchids at the Holyrood Hotel Bundoran with our tranquil Japanese-themed garden, rejuvenating massages, revitalizing facials, luxurious spa baths, pampering body treatments, not forgetting the outdoor hot tub and sauna in our secret garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time, or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the spa orchids transport you to another world. For more, see holyroodhotel.com.
The massive January sale is now on at Patterson's Kitchen, the Hall Lifford. Massive savings on kitchens, beds, sofas, dining sets and giftware, with up to 50% off selected mattresses. Hundreds of products in stock and ready for delivery or collection. Open Monday to Saturday 9 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. Get yourself down to Patterson's massive January sale.
When it comes to electrical waste recycling, we're pretty good with the big items, like tumble dryers, fridge freezers and cookers. But what about your old broken power tools and gardening equipment? Those drills and electric lawnmowers end up in the shed, beside that damaged solar-powered garden gnome. The good news, you can recycle anything with a plug, battery or cable for free. And it couldn't be easier. For a list of drop-off points and participating retailers, just go to mywaste.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
At B&Q, get 4 for 3 on flooring and 20% off wall and floor tiles. So from perfect porches to chic showers, transform your home for less. Shop in store or online. You can do it. Exclusions apply. Value of every fourth item per single transaction and descending price order deducted. Ends 31st of January. See DIY.ie.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's approaching 20 minutes past 9. Marie joins me on the programme now. How are you?
I'm fine, Greg, and yourself?
I'm okay. We had Minister for the Environment, Eamon Ryan, in here last Friday. I had an awful lot to get through. I didn't get to talk to him about one of the traditions in this part of the world and elsewhere, and it's not just a tradition. For some, it's the only way to heat the house, and that is turf cutting. And even though he says, look, we're not going to stop the tradition of turf cutting, we just don't want people selling it and what have you, you wouldn't be convinced for the future of over the future of turf cutting, would you?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I'm just saying, for a lot of people, this is our tradition, and in my house, that's all I use is turf. I have a range. It heats all the water through the house. I do my cooking, my baking, everything, and it's so economical compared to having to be buying oil and gas and all that stuff. So I don't think it's good for Eamon Ryan to be coming around here, especially to Donegal, and telling us what to do. And I'm thinking that they just give us another 3 years for the turf cutting, but I'm going to continue to cut turf every year to supply my house with heating and everything else. And Eamon Ryan, he comes to our county, but he doesn't care about anyone. I'm just saying that because he seems to be chipping away all the time of our tradition.
And what about the environmental argument to it, though, that it's a dirty fuel?
Yes, no, it's not. It's not a fossil fuel. The turf cutting is not a fossil fuel. The oil is worse than the turf. And Eamon Ryan doesn't think about other things. That I don't believe it's an environment thing at all, honestly. I don't believe that. They're just pushing all this out on top of us to stop us from doing whatever our traditions and everything is.
He was given a bag of turf, wasn't he, during his visit to Lifford by Councillor Michael McClafferty. He's not happy. Do you support Michael McClafferty in the point that he was trying to make? He said that older people in Donegal who do not have home fitted for oil and depend on turf being cut locally to heat their homes, he says that needs to be retained. And that's pretty much exactly what you are, that person. You rely solely on turf.
Yes. And it's not just me, it's a lot of people out, especially out through the countryside. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all right in towns and cities where they can't get turf, or they have to just do whatever they get, like.
If they stuck to the situation whereby you can cut your own turf, but you can't sell turf, right? Would you be happy enough with that?
No, not at all. I believe there are a lot of elderly people in their homes, and they can't go out to cut turf, but that's what they're relying on too, and they need to buy turf. They have to buy turf. And there are people supplying people, people like this with turf, which is great. It's whatever the choices that people want.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound cynical, but there are people out there that believe that this was deferred last year until after the next election. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to be peeing off the people of rural Ireland and taking the turf from them running up to election, and that whilst it has been deferred, that very soon after the next election, they might crack on with plans to stop you using your turf, Murray.
Yes, but I wonder then, how am I going to heat my house? I could not afford that if it was oil or whatever else. And that's what I have, is turf, and that's all. It's so economical for everything. Like, look what it's doing for me in my house.
one of the buzzwords with the climate crisis and what people need to do is just transition. So it wouldn't be a just transition because you'd be left high and dry if you couldn't burn turf. How could you retrofit your home? How could you change how, water is heated? You'd have to put it, where would you get you'd have to get another cooker, another oven or what have you, Marie, so that wouldn't be a just transition for you. It'd be taking your way of life from you and burdening you with a massive debt to change the way you operate your life.
Yes, and our electricity bills, look how high they are as well. And Greg, I believe, see all this climate change, I think that is to cover other things up. I do not believe in climate change. Look what China is doing. China they're making everything, plastics, everything goes to China, and China is selling to the whole world. So governments or anything, Europe or any of these, are not saying anything to China. Why is that?
Well, China are building coal mines, coal burning. But is that an argument that climate change is a thing, that, you're burning turf and heating your home, Marie, probably not having that great of an impact, but then you have a nation the size of China, which, as I say, is doubling down on coal to some extent. They're cutting down the rainforest, but we are seeing extremes of weather, though, Marie. Do you not think that there's something that man is doing has to be influencing? Since industrialization, the world has changed dramatically. Areas flooding that never flooded before, heat that people can't tolerate and they're having to move from certain areas of the world. Do you not think that is a thing, even if maybe the cause, you might say, well, it's not you burning turf? Do you not think there is a thing that the atmosphere is changing and it's making life very difficult for people in different parts of the world? We're lucky here. Our climate is just what it is and probably will stay the way it is for quite some time. But there are extremes of weather elsewhere in the world, Marie.
Yeah, I know, but no, I'm not fully on this climate change thing at all. Very little.
That's your view,
because I don't. I think Eamon Ryan and all is just trying to chip everything away from us and our history and everything, and it's just not right. So I don't know.
That's
if
all
Eamon Ryan came around to my house, I'd have a nice scone of bread on the table. I would have had my house heated. But I don't know what he's doing. Sure, he's flying jets and flying planes here and there. So he's doing a lot of travelling himself.
Yeah, but he said last Friday you can't blame the individual, you see. But then I can't blame you for burning turf, Marie. If we can't get down to blaming the individual, then I can't blame you for heating your house with turf.
No, yeah, that's true.
Do you not find it very messy? It's a messy enough fuel, though, isn't it? A lot of ashes, Marie. Do you not find? And you must spend the whole day you must be like feeding a steam train. You must be constantly just throwing turf into the stove all day.
Not really. I just put the turf in, close up the range, and if I'm cooking, I open it up, and that's what I do.
All right, okay. Lovely, works for you. Okay, it sounds like a lovely way that you live, Marie, to be honest with you. I'm not saying you're off the grid, but you're very self-sufficient. Okay, listen, we heard you. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Okay, great.
Have a lovely day, Marie.
You.
Take care. Okay, Marie is not going to stop cutting her turf. Let's see what some of you others think. Greg, I'll cut turf and sell turf as long as I can. Eamon Ryan, nobody else will stop me. And I can't understand why Eamon got over Lifford Bridge. Well, everyone's different views, and some are moderate. They might disagree with him, but they wouldn't necessarily say don't come to Donegal. I totally agree with Marie. My granny and granddad only use turf as well, and really don't like using coal or oil. Indeed, the smell's lovely too, I personally believe. Greg, I agree with this lady. Marie, 100%. Another caller says, pity you didn't ask Eamon Ryan about the big diesel chargers they're having charging all the buses. Just another scam by the government. I think really, I know what you're talking about, and then you sort of get into the fact that if you're on about electric cars as well, like, an electric car, if someone forgets to charge and they break down, you get they tow a generator and they charge it, and that's crazy and it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't think picking little obvious flaws in arguments for or against is going to change anything at this point, because people have their views and it's going to take something bigger to change them. I see a lot of people that would say, look, electric cars, fantastic. If you're going to talk about the environment, though, they should only be run on electricity generated on the green, like wind and what have you, wind and solar, and there's an irony to charging them with coal generated electricity and so on. So, but you could get into that argument and never get out. Good morning, Greg. I, for one, would agree with assisted dying. If there's something wrong with you and you're not going to get better, it's your body, and I think you should be allowed to make that decision if you want to end the pain. Okay. In my opinion, once you start taking morphine or it's been administered, then you're assisting death, and that's because of the sensitive nature of it. That's a point that I've sort of tried to make on this programme before, that to some extent there can be some level of that situation. But we're talking about, and I've spoken to someone who works with people in assisted dying in Belgium. Like, we're talking people who are diagnosed a year or two of disease, of conditions, and they're like 38. And I mean, are showing the signs of their condition, but are still walking around and could work and all that type of stuff. And they're saying, you know what, I don't want to go through this. I'm ending my life. I think we often think of it, people who might be, and I don't mean this insensitively, writhing in agony at the end of their life anyway. But assisted dying in other countries permits people, once they are diagnosed with a terminal illness or life-limiting illness, that they can just do it then and there, within reason. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just right at the end of life. We're talking here where it can happen much earlier in other countries. Hi, Greg. Would it be possible for you to read the Garda Oath, what the Garda Oath is, so we can understand their behaviour in Rosscree yesterday? I understand where you're coming from. And I'm familiar with the Garda Oath as well, and how it can be argued in both ways. Government keeps talking about communication with the public, but if they don't convince the public with waffle, they send it in an army of Gardaí. That's the government style. I think the horse is bolted in terms of trying to articulate what they're doing. I think that's long past. I mean, we were talking about communication on Friday panels 2 years ago about communicating with the public about what's happening. And now they're still talking about doing. I think that horse has bolted. I think really it's policy change is the only thing that is, and articulating what that change might be and how it might improve the situation is the only thing that might benefit them at this point. But I'm open to correction on that as well. Of course, that's just my reading of it. Donegal has no services for children as we are, and now we're taking the only one there is. I demand to know where all the money in this country is going. It's no wonder people are feeling so much anger towards our government at the minute. €60,000, I believe that's the figure, Caroline, is it? That would have retained or kept those services going, at least for now. It is a decision that has to be reversed. Funding has to be made available, and I hope it's not too late for that to happen. But as I say, there are people with influence either listening to this programme or told that we're going to be talking about it that surely can intervene at an early stage. If this is dissolved, getting all of those people back together would be very difficult, I would imagine. Again, I'm open to correction on that, but that's my gut feeling at the moment. Right, Margaret joins us now. Hiya, Margaret.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you keeping, Margaret?
Whether it's good or not, weather-wise it mightn't be so good, but...
Well, with the funny thing with our county, Margaret, it's like 6 degrees in the south and it's 0 elsewhere, and up a hill it's freezing and down a hill it's raining. It's a crazy old county we live in. But what's your point? And it kind of is connected into the weather, Margaret.
Yeah, it is. It's my point. I drove my grandchildren to the bus this morning. They're both attending 2 separate secondary schools in town here. And I was giving out about the coats. I said, have you no better coat than that wee skimpy thing? They said, oh, that's a school coat and that's all we're allowed to wear. And I said, well, surely on a day like this you would be allowed. Oh, no, they say that this has to be worn. This is the school coat and that's it, nothing else. But I don't know if that is policy or not, or does it bother anybody else. But on a morning like this, with frost, snow, rain, wind, everything, I mean... the way I look at it, if a child is not dry and comfortable starting off their school day in the morning, how are they going to have a positive day in school? You know, I was just listening to Lee this morning. He was explaining all the layers that he had on him.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, he's wearing this. Well, he's grand.
But that's he's an old man, Margaret. That could be his age.
No, that doesn't matter. I can feel the cold too.
What age are your grandchildren ish? Like, are they single digits or teenagers?
13 13, 14.
You see, I wonder, are they spinning you a line like I get spun by my young fella who would never put a coat on? I don't know if it's about being cool or whatever, and I don't mean cool in the temperature sense, because even driving to work, you see lots of younger ones on the side of the road with no jacket on at all. I don't think it's school policy, Margaret. I just wonder, is it a fashion thing?
I'm well aware of this coat business. It has always been an issue when my own kids were at school about the coat, and then they brought in the school coats. And so I don't know if it's a case of, I would like to know if they are able to wear a heavy coat, you know, just for these weather conditions, or if that's, you know, like standing out getting wet in the morning and cold all day. It doesn't make sense. So I would just like to know if that is the position or not. Okay, so the question is clear as this, Margaret, are schools dictating to children what actual coats they can wear into schools really effectively? And if they are, well, that's a problem. Are you saying there's a designated school jacket, a light jacket that the children are being told they must wear rather than their... Yes. Okay. Yes. Right, that's definitely something worth looking at. Jackets. I know they're fashionable, but fashion and weather just don't match. And there's loads of acceptable winter coats available in town now. But come here, going back to when your children were younger, Margaret, and I'm just wondering if it was the same with me, did you not have the battle in the morning to get them to put a coat on even when it was terribly cold weather? Because I've had that I don't need to wear it, the school's warm, and I concluded that it must be because wearing a coat is not cool. Did you have that issue with your young ones, Margaret? There always was an issue. I don't like, there has to be they would like to wear what they want to wear, but when the school jackets came out, I thought, well, that's good. At least they're wearing a jacket. But it's just specifically, they are fashionable and the school jackets are grand. Okay. But on a wet day and a cold day like this, they should be able to wear a heavy coat. That's all I'm just saying. Okay, so we want to know if any schools out there are precluding children from wearing their own heavy jackets and what have you. Margaret, listen, lovely to chat to you. Hopefully you're nice and warm wherever you are, and we appreciate your time today. Well, I'll get around now saying, Granny, what are you chatting about? But good morning. They don't know who you are. All right, good morning to you. Take care. Bye-bye. Back with more after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The ultimate ABBA Sensations tribute comes to Ancourch Hotel Gidor on Friday, January 19th and the Villa Rose Hotel Ballybuffet on Saturday, January 20th. Tickets available from hotel reception and online at Eventbrite.
Step into style with Green Shoes. Stocking the latest styles from all your favourite brands and footwear. From Doc Martens, New Balance and Echo to Riker, Birkenstock and Bugatti. Shop in store in Green Shoes Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre and Fulcara. Or shop from the comfort of home on greenshoes.com and have the latest styles delivered right to your doorstep. Shop LK and one for all gift cards accepted in store. Green Shoes, the perfect fit for every foot.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonahur Road, Donegal Town.
Our McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ourmccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. Our McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Make 5 dinners for under €25 with Dunnes Stores. Save in the aisle with everything you need for sausage pasta bake, chicken burrito bowl, Thai red curry veg soup, tasty pizza wrap, and fresh cod tray bake. All for just €24.73 when you save with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Download the app and get your voucher today. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. And we were talking about turf a little earlier on, and someone decided to send a picture of their turf stove in to us. So if you're watching the show, there it is. What do you think about that? It looks cosy. And they even sent a bucket of turf, 2 buckets of turf they've got in, so they're well sorted for the day. It does look cosy. Hopefully, whatever you do, you have us on in the background anyway. Right, okay. We are joined on the programme now by Adele Doherty, PRO of Mountain Rescue Ireland. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. Right, okay. So we are seeing a consistent, if not increased, level of mountain rescues. And maybe our beautiful landscape, it's sort of becoming a victim of its own success, if that makes any sense at all. Because those seeking that perfect Instagram picture or that TikTok are finding themselves getting caught out, which means that you get called out.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the case that we get called out for all sorts of people. So it can be the person who's very new into hill walking and maybe they've only gone a short distance, or we can also be called out to very experienced mountaineering people that have, very experienced. It's just the case that slips and falls and accidents can happen at any time. So we really respond to anyone really that needs our help. So we don't really judge people. We kind of like the idea that everyone's using the outdoors more and kind of using what's on their own doorstep, or maybe traveling to different parts of the country. So in a way, I think it's just great that people are out and about more often in a way in our own hills.
Yeah, Donegal has seen an increase in call-outs in the last fortnight. There's been 5 call-outs. We're not getting into specifics because we don't want to embarrass anyone. But generally speaking, I presume there are quite a number of call-outs to those who haven't planned correctly, haven't checked the weather, don't necessarily know the terrain, don't have the right gear on. Is that the kind of problems that we're seeing, Adele?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So it can be a flip of a coin. Sometimes you can still be very prepared. And if you break an ankle, there's no way you're walking yourself off that hill anyway, and you're going to have to call us for help. Or if you get lost, possibly. But you're right in that a lot of our call-outs, a lot of them could be prevented if people just take a little bit more time to make sure that, the weather's okay for them, they're heading out at the right time of day, they've the right boots with them, they have the right clothing. So you might start on a sunny day at the bottom of Muckish, and by the time you get to the top, it could be hailstones, and you're thinking, well, I should have brought that coat that was in the car, or I should have brought those wet pants or a warm layer, whatever the case might be. So it's just about trying to be prepared as much as you can for what the day might bring when you go out in the hills.
And if you're not used to it and don't have the right gear, it's not something really you can do spontaneously, because you do need, a good pair of boots with proper ankle support. You don't want to be going up there in your favourite runners that you walk or jog in, because that's not good enough for you. You need, a decent jacket, light but well insulated and all, that will, protect you if the temperature drops. And as you say, the weather can change really, really quite quickly. You can't do this stuff, I don't think, on a whim unless you already have the right gear at your disposal.
Yeah, it's kind of the case that even for ourselves, if we head out in the hill on kind of a whim, if we say, you know what, it's a nice day, I have the day off, let's go to the hills, you're still checking your bag before you go, you're checking the weather, you're making sure you're not waiting to too late in the day before you start, because there's nothing worse than coming down a hill when it's getting dark, because you start to kind of panic and you start to rush, and that's when things can kind of go a little bit wrong for you. So it's just about kind of being organised and sensible, and making sure if you're heading out in a group that everyone in the group is going to be comfortable with what you're doing, because sometimes you'll find friends that will come along but then realise halfway that they're like, I'm feeling the pressure here a little bit, but I don't want to say anything, and they'll push on. And it's just, you don't want people tired and hungry and cold and wet up in a hill.
And our mountain rescue teams are absolutely fantastic. But, they want to be there. They want the calls. They want to get people down safe where possible. But unnecessary call-outs are really what we're trying to avoid here, aren't you? These are people that often are, in full-time employment of other things to do. So it's the unnecessary call-outs here that we're talking about.
Yeah, and something else that can play a lot sometimes is having a properly charged phone. So people will generally head off with their phone charged, and they may, take some videos, take some photos, maybe FaceTime someone from the top. They might be using an app on their phone for their mapping and getting their direction of travel, which is great. There's no problem with that. But you just need to be prepared for what happens if your phone battery starts to drop, because it can be affected by the cold weather. And it's something that a lot of people don't really think about. But when you call for mountain rescue, so if something happens to you and you call, regardless of maybe how close to the road you are or anything like that, it can still take a couple of hours for a mountain rescue team to get to you, just with the nature of the time it takes to get to the mountain. They have to hike up the mountain after you. They might have to take up equipment. People think the helicopter might always come in and rescue them, but if the weather's bad and they're busy elsewhere, it may not be an option either. So I think people are always generally shocked when we talk about how long it can be from when we get the call to when we actually will get to that person to be able to help them. So it's about making sure you have kind of your phone charged for all of that time. Because the last thing you want is your phone to go dead while you're waiting on mountain rescue to find you.
Yeah, exactly. And the battery can drain very, very quickly. If you're taking pictures and videos all the way up the mountain, you can find yourself ill-resourced with power when you get there. Battery packs, things like that, very useful, I'd imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, having one in your bag. A few Ziploc bags or kind of dry bags to keep things dry is also very helpful. Even just for your own jacket, if you have a spare jacket in your bag, keeping it inside another plastic bag will keep it safe from getting wet if you're out in the rain as well, which can help.
Yeah, all right, okay. It's a solid advice. And if you're chasing that picture for the gram, just make sure that you know what you're at. Isn't that it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And if ever in doubt, I mean, this can happen to anyone in any situation. You can call Mountain Rescue, so you just call 999 or 112, ask for the Gardaí, and then when you're put through to them, just ask for Mountain Rescue, and then the system will kind of start from there.
Yeah, and also, I'm not sure if you mentioned it too, though, but even letting people know, because sometimes cars can be found in car parks and it's not quite clear, you know, there's no note been left or no information been left. People don't know how long the car's been there or what the people might be doing. So it's a little bit like kayaking. You know, you wouldn't just leave your kayak lying on the shore because, you know, someone might think you fell out of it. Common sense stuff that would help the emergency services, you know, at a time of a need.
Yes, and something that can really help there is leaving kind of your plan with another person. So leaving where you're going, maybe what route you're going to take, what time you expect to be back at. And at least then if, say, a call does come in that someone finds a car, they may search the reg of that car. The Gardaí can look that up and contact, you know, the home address. And they can say, well, actually, they're gone out overnight camping and we're sure they're totally fine. If they're not back by 9 a.m. tomorrow, like they said, then we'll think about maybe seeing if they need help. But you can do little things like that just to be organised as well.
A lot of it is common sense. Okay, Adele, thank you very much for your time. That's Adele Doherty, PRO of Mountain Rescue Ireland. 086 60 25,000. Nice and busy on the phone lines today. Thank you very much for that. Has turf cutting lady ever studied science? I don't think so, but lack of consultation and listening to the people by government is the root of the problem, same as the migrant crisis. It's the big industries that are causing a lot of our problems with climate change. Go after the wee man, tax them to the hilt. Leave Mr. Big Company alone to do what they want, says a listener. Burn timber instead of turf. Timber is a renewable source, says a listener. Eamon Ryan hasn't got a clue about anything. All you need to do is just look at him. He doesn't strike me as someone who's in the present. Just look at Varadkar using a private plane when the government plane was available. I think it's about time this government was kicked out, believes the listener. Eamon Ryan's a funny character in that he's derided here in this country and gets an awful lot of shtick. But internationally, he's incredibly highly respected. You know, I'm sure you might be well aware of that. But he is, you know, he's got some really big positions on certain boards and bodies and what have you across Europe and the world. He's very highly thought of outside of Ireland. Climate change is a hoax, says listener. Just makes plenty of money for the elite. Fair play to that lady that says it as it is. Good on that lady. I'll be doing the same, cutting turf, as I have no other way of heating the house. Okay, keep them coming into us. Back after this break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Enter the Virgin Media Playhouse for unbelievable value from Ireland's best broadband. Get 500 meg super fast, reliable broadband for just €35 a month for 12 months. And no activation fee when you act now. Switch in-store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media, it's playtime.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. Subject to location and availability. New customers only. 12-month contract. 500 meg broadband. €70 thereafter. Ireland's best broadband awarded by Umlaut. See virginmedia.ie/proof.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment. All have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Well, Grace, how are you today?
I'm good. I've just been down to the Made to Measure Fireplaces showroom in Creasla. They have an incredible selection of over 40 colours for kitchen worktops. And guess what? For a limited time, they're offering a 40% discount on any electric fire when you purchase a worktop there.
40%? That's an amazing deal, Grace.
Absolutely. And trust me, if the discount alone doesn't sway you, their huge selection of fireplaces, stoves, wood pellet burners, beams and stone cladding certainly will.
Contact Made to Measure Fireplaces Creasla on 074 91 38 365 on Facebook, Instagram and on ntmfireplaces.ie.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
So mainly cloudy this morning with outbreaks of rain and some further falls of sleet or snow, transitioning mostly to rain by mid-morning. The rain will become patchier through the afternoon with some sun exposed developing, highs of 4 to 6 degrees. Now, the CSO, the Central Statistics Office, has launched a campaign to raise awareness of its new household budget survey, where households will be asked to track their spending over a 14-day period. Gerard Doolan is head of social data collection with the CSO and he's with us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Gerard.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me on the show.
I'm good. Right. Now, what's the... No, it's our pleasure. What's the initiative here? Is 14 days enough, do you think, actually, by the way, to do an effective track of people's household spending?
Yeah, so... I suppose the household budget survey was previously carried out once every 5 years, and the CSO has now moved to a continual collection of the data. The 14-day spending notebook that you mentioned there, Greg, that's a tried and trusted method that financial advisors and I suppose people who are struggling financially and need guidance and support, one of the first things that financial advisors will ask their clients or the people who come in to see them to do is to track their spending for either a 7 or 14-day period, and that gives that person a sense of where their money is going. It brings an awareness to the individual who's doing the work, and I suppose with that awareness and with that information, they can then make changes in terms of their spending patterns and make savings.
Yeah, what do you think we might learn from this, particularly given the fact that it's sort of like a rolling survey now?
So I suppose there's two, I suppose from a CSO perspective, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting more timely and more relevant data. So what the detailed expenditure that's collected in the household budget survey, we use that to make up the basket of goods that measures CPI, which is, of course, the measure of inflation. So inflation over the last 18, 24 months, it's very, very, I suppose, topical. People are all aware of it. We can all see prices rising in shops and all the things that we buy. So the CSO is going to get better quality data for our users, which will inform policymakers. From a participant and from a household perspective, they're going to get a spending awareness in terms of where the money is going. I'm sure we've all been in a situation where come a Friday, we open our wallet and we say, geez, I'd 50 euros there at the start of the week. Where's that gone? I suppose we know when we speak to previous participants in the survey, we kind of do testimonials and we see how we can improve on things. Some of the information that we get from people is they get that awareness, they get that understanding. And an awful lot of the time, I suppose, with the best will of intentions, we all try to make the most of our money and spend it sensibly. But you'd be surprised, I suppose, if in terms of, let's say, buying that cup of coffee every morning, buying the newspaper, buying an ice cream, buying a sandwich or a lunch out, etc., it can all add up. And I suppose it is certainly from the information that we've gotten back from respondents, it's that awareness and that knowledge, and it informs informs them to make the decisions, as I spoke about earlier, and make the changes in their spending.
Yeah, and I mean, you've a balance to strike here, aren't you? Because you want you want as many people to use it as is possible, and for it to be as easy to use as possible. But you also need it to be thorough. You know, you don't want things missed out. I mean, it's important that the data is accurate.
Absolutely. So I spoke there earlier about a basket of goods for the consumer price index. So the data that's collected in the household budget survey, it's not sufficient that we know that you spend €100 on your grocery shopping in one of the supermarkets. We need to know what that €100 is broken down by. So it'll include everything from your meat, your fruit, your vegetables, your breads, your utility bills, your children's activities, gym memberships, your cup of coffee and a newspaper on a Sunday morning, your ice cream on a sunny day. It includes every single item of expenditure for those 14 days. Now, we'll be sampling 6,000 households right around the country, and those 6,000 households are representative of all of the 1.8 million households. So I suppose some people might think 6,000 households is a big sample, others might think it's small. We have a team of about 150 interviewers all around the country, and they will knock on the doors of more than 60,000 households and asking them to participate in household surveys. So the household budget survey, which we're launching this week, it's not the only survey that they collect. They also collect things like the labour force survey, surveying income and living conditions. I suppose we don't often knock on your door because there is 1.8 million households that we can draw a sample from. So if we do knock on your door, it's important, I suppose, that people take the opportunity to participate. The CSO is a trusted provider of statistics. We've been doing this for 75 years. A lot of our surveys are not compulsory, and I think they don't need to be compulsory because people recognise the CSO, they know the brand, they know what we stand for. When people supply information to us, and they do supply very sensitive, confidential information, and in the household budget survey, it's financial information they're providing, we anonymise it. It cannot be traced back to an individual. It's used for statistical purposes only. We don't share it with anyone. And I suppose a big thing for us is that we are totally reliant on participants in our survey. We need them to give us the data, and in return, they can count on us to provide independent, impartial statistics to inform everybody.
So how do you select those taking part, or do people volunteer to take part, or is it a mixture of both?
No, there's no volunteering to take part. So what we do is we have a register from of households, and we will draw a sample from that. So as I said, there's 1.8 million households, but we need to pick a sample of 6,000 households spread all over the country. And as I said, each of those households is representative of the different household types. So when I speak about household types, you can have obviously lots of different household types. You might have a single person household, you might have a retired couple, you might have a single parent household, you might have a household with 2 adults, 2 children. So if your household is selected, you're probably representing a similar type household of maybe, let's say, 500 or 600 different households all around the country. So that way, then we by doing that, we know that if we can collect the sample of 6,000 households, that's representative of the typical spending patterns all over the country.
Radio listenership figures or surveys, but it's a high sample rate, so it will be very, very reflective of the reality of the people in the country. Okay, Jared, we look forward to digesting those figures whenever they become available. We do appreciate your time. Thank you for that. That's Jared Doolan, Head of Social Data Collection with the CSO. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Or you can give us a call too, of course, on 074 91 25,000. Coming up after 10, we have Community Garda Information, where we have the latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána here in Donegal. First, your assistance in that item does help to solve crime and prevent crime. So make sure to listen in, make sure to have an input if you can. Right, back after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
The big shop just got bigger with the Lidl XXL range. Get 25% extra free with Board B approved XXL skinny beef burgers, $3.79. Pick XXL Irish carrots with 33% extra free, $1.15. And 33% extra free with XXL frozen fruits, $2.99. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
Attention school leavers. Join us for Southwest College's full-time and apprenticeship open days. Visit our campuses in Dungannon on the 23rd of January, Enniskillen on the 30th of January, and Uma on the 6th of February from 3 to 7 p.m. Participate in workshops and demonstrations and meet your future tutors. Whether you're passionate about business, engineering, healthcare or the arts, we have something for everyone. Study near, go far at Southwest College. Visit swc.ac.uk for details.
Harkins have been providing customers with quality fireplaces, stoves and electric fires for over 30 years. And now you can experience the elegance of luxurious worktop from Harkins. Their experienced craftsmen can fabricate marble, quartz or granite worktops to your specification. So, if you're planning a new kitchen or bathroom or upgrading your existing one, Harkin Fireplaces can provide a quote for your quartz, marble or granite worktop. Visit their showroom in Ballybogan, Lifford or call 9141109 or visit them online at harkinfireplaces.ie.
Britain's at House to Home Interiors Bridgend and Britain's Furniture Moville January sale is now on. Prices not to be repeated in our biggest sale yet. 311 sofas starting from $10.99, flooring starting at $7.99 a square yard, mattresses starting at $1.99, slide robes from $3.99. Dining tables all reduced and starting at just $1.99. So call in to any of our stores this January in Cooley Moville or in Bridgend.
Ryan Adams is back on tour in 2024. Join Highland Radio on our trip to Dublin to see the man himself at the 3 Arena on Tuesday the 21st of May 2024. Your trip includes luxury transfers, bed and breakfast at the 4-star Carlton Hotel Blanchardstown, your standing ticket to the show and a shopping trip to Dublin city centre the following day. Find out more on the outlet at highlandradio.com or call us on 074 91 25 5000.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Banking and Insurance Focus Group says it's eagerly awaiting the next meeting of a subgroup established by the Department of Housing to see that homes remediated and rebuilt under the Defective block scheme are fully mortgageable and insurable. Minister Charlie McConalogue said after the first meeting that the government will be insisting on cast iron guarantees from banks and insurance companies that this will be the case. However, the Focus Group says such guarantees will only be given if the work is certified by a registered engineer, and Engineers Ireland are considering that ahead of the next meeting in February. They also say it's not a matter for political demands or grandstanding. Seamus Devaney is a member of the Focus Group. He says if engineers don't sign off on the work, then the government will have to revisit the scheme. And he believes with foundations not being replaced, that is highly likely.
Engineers Ireland effectively have gone away for 4 weeks now to hopefully come back to us with a definitive, clarified position on this issue. And that then we can take to the banks and say, does this make these homes mortgageable or not? I don't want to jump ahead of that and say that, of course, it doesn't make them mortgageable because they still contain deleterious materials, and that would include a risk that the banks have no appetite for. Banks don't loan on uncalculated risk.
The PSNI say Maidown Technical Support Group officers have been conducting road safety operations across the Derry City and Strabane district. The results of the patrols included a driver speeding at almost 30 miles over the speed limit and the seizure of suspected Class B drugs. With more, here's Sean O'Regan.
The team were assisting district colleagues with events as well as carrying out road safety checks. On Thursday last, the officer on patrol recovered suspected Class B drugs from a vehicle in the Waterside area of the city. As a result, the vehicle was seized and a teenager was arrested, then charged with offences. The following day, a driver was detected travelling at 79 miles an hour in a 50 zone. The PSNI is urging the public to adhere to the Fatal 5. Don't drink or drive, slow down, don't drive carelessly, wear a seatbelt and don't use your phone while driving. It added that it's a shared responsibility of all road users to keep themselves and each other safe.
Some people with disabilities are experiencing financial abuse. A National Advocacy Service report says this is despite new laws which presume every adult has capacity to make their own decisions until proven otherwise. In certain cases, people face banking and digital exclusion, while others had their money restricted or limited by family members. Mains repairs may cause supply disruptions to water in the K Road to Hardy Avenue, Cranagh Road and surrounding areas of Buncrana. Works are scheduled to take place until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Police in Strabane are seeking witnesses to a burglary on Peacock Road, Sign Mills at 6:20 on Sunday evening. Two men entered the property and left a couple of minutes later. PSNI say they're keen to speak to anyone in the area who witnessed anything suspicious around this time, particularly the driver of a white car with a black roof, possibly a Citroën DS3, who had to brake abruptly to avoid the men. The driver of the car is not believed to have been involved. A planning system that's fit for purpose and a stronger electricity grid are required if our renewable energy sector is to flourish. That's the view of Wind Energy Ireland, which says wind farms accounted for 35% of all electricity generated on the island of Ireland last year. They say wind farms also cut gas spending by almost €1.3 million in 2023, and the sector employs around 5,000 nationwide. CEO Noel Cunniff says further investment is a no-brainer.
Renewable energy makes so much sense for the people of Ireland. We have one of the windiest countries on the entire planet, and we really have a world-leading wind energy sector here in Ireland. It's providing us with cheaper sources of electricity, it's keeping money at home, it's providing jobs at home, and ultimately our country will be powered by renewables. That's our natural resource, that's what we should be harnessing.
And Donald Trump has scored a record-setting win in the Iowa caucuses, a victory that's strengthened his hope of the Republican presidential nomination. Forecasts give him over 50% of the vote, more than double his two nearest rivals. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis finished a distant second, just ahead of former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley.
I voted for Donald Trump twice. I was proud to serve in his administration. But when I say more of the same, you know what I'm talking about. It's both Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
Mainly cloudy this morning with outbreaks of rain and some further falls of sleet or snow, transitioning mostly to rain by mid-morning. That rain will become patchier through the afternoon with some sunny spells developing. Highs of 4 to 6 degrees with mostly moderate southwest to west winds. Fresh at times, particularly in the northwest. A yellow snow ice warning remains in operation in Donegal for the next hour. And we're back with news headlines again at 11. Check all of today's news, of course, on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The Obituary notices this Tuesday morning, January 16th. The death has taken place of Ailish McAteer, Ormond Road, Rathmines and formerly Greenan Park, Buncrana. Requiem Mass will be held for Ailish in St Mary's Church, Cockhill, Buncrana on Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Buncrana Parish, care of any family member or McAteer funeral directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed online at churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Margaret Doherty, Paddymore, Middletown, Malin Head, reposing at her late residence. Funeral leaving there tomorrow at 10:30, going to the Star of the Sea Church, Malin Head for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m. Interment afterwards in Lag Cemetery, Malin. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. Family flowers only. The death has occurred of John Quinn, Conlon Road, Killybegs, Donegal. Removal from his residence this morning at 10:30 to St Mary of the Visitation Church, Killybegs for 11 a.m. funeral mass. Burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Mass will be streamed on MCN Media. The death has taken place of Anne Hutton, Ellabeg, Bridgend. Anne's remains are reposing at the family home in Ellabeg, Bridgend. Family time please from 10 p.m. tonight. Funeral leaving the family home tomorrow at 11:15, going to St Patrick's Church, Pennyburn for Requiem Mass at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in St Maurice Cemetery, Fawn. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if wished to the Foyle Hospice. The death has taken place of Robert Moore, Omicram, Ballyhern, Fanad. Robert's funeral service will be held at Christ the Redeemer Church in Rossnakill, Fanad at 1 p.m. this afternoon, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. House strictly private, family flowers only please. The death has occurred of Paul McGowan, 7 Admiral Park, Stranorlar. Mass of the Resurrection is at 11 a.m. this morning at the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranorlar, and burial afterwards at Drumbo Cemetery, Stranorlar. House private before the funeral to family and neighbours only please. Flowers welcome. Donations in lieu if so desired to the Irish Cancer Society Donegal branch, care of any family member or McGowan Funeral Home, Drumbo Avenue, Stranorlar. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. For For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Prices keep dropping in-store at Aldi, with loads of your favourites getting the price drop treatment. Like high-protein mousse 200 grams was $1.75, now $1.49. Melt in a middle fish cakes 2-pack was $3.49, now $2.99. And Irish lean beef burgers 2-pack was $2.89, now $2.49. Ooh, lean burger, lean price. Follow the path to lower prices. Go all Aldi. Prices checked 8th of the 1st, 24. Details aldi.ie/save.
And now, IMRO's 2023 Best Local or Regional News Programme, The Voice of the Northwest, the 9 till noon show with
Good
Greg
morning
Hughes.
to you, and you're very welcome back to the programme. Coming up very shortly, so don't go anywhere. Garda Grania Doherty will be in studio with me, bringing you the latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána. So that's coming up for you live right now. That's another item you can watch on the programme if you want to. On YouTube, on your smart TV or your Fire Stick, you can throw us up there. Got a picture yesterday of it was so cosy, except for my ugly face on the screen. The lovely curved flat screen TV, you know, that curved one. I never really had a go at one of those. Above a lovely open fire, sitting on the couch watching the show, which is great. And I hope you're with us again today. We're on Facebook as well, Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport, and on X as well. Right, so as I say, Garda Grania is going to join us very shortly. Regards school coats. My son is in secondary school in Milford, and what that lady said is true. They have to wear school coat only. If they don't, they get a bad note, and so many notes leads to a detention. It's even the same with the PE gear. Can't wear a regular tracksuit, has to be the crested one. Some parents can't afford the coats or the PE gear. If you have the crested gear, you can wear all day. If not, you have to change before and after. It's not fair to be expected to pay the price for coats when they can only wear them to school anyway. Well, that's a turn up for the books. I've long been against, purely because of struggling to find the money in the past, long been against being compelled to buy certain jumpers at certain prices and then the PE stuff at certain prices and so on and so forth. I didn't know they were doing it with coats in certain schools. Margaret was spot on in what she said. This is from my son's school policy. I had to buy the coat yesterday at €75. What I mean, like, do people not realise that we're struggling here? We've got the lowest disposable income here. We've got some of the lowest wages here. We've got some of the highest unemployment here in the country. We're in a cost of living crisis, and parents are being forced to spend 75 quid on a specific coat when they can get down the road to a store in Letterkenny or wherever you happen to be listening to us from and get a really good warm coat for a €10 or €15. My child's school has a policy where they need to wear a black coat or a school crested coat to try and stop the competition of style, but it's still there with certain brands being requested by the child that they'll only be able to wear at school from the bus to the door. Plus, as Greg said, they don't wear coats 99% of the time. Greg, the Royal Prior has this policy. Another, you need to have a school policy on uniform and coats because it gets out of hand otherwise. Well, that's the flip side. But, I would say what parents are finding, if this is the rules, and you can wear black coats and someone gets, your North Face coats or your Nike coats or whatever, or your 7 Degrees coats or whatever happens to be in trend at the moment. And if you can't run to that cost, like your child might say, I'm not wearing a coat today. I don't want to wear a coat. I mean, is that why some kids aren't going to school with coats? Because their parents can't afford to match the style, even if there is a policy in relation to this. So the children are preferring to go in cold rather than be shown up because of their jackets. That's awful for the parents to be put under that pressure. I mean, is that happening out there? Because this is news to me. My only exposure is to one school, you see, so it's not that I'm out of touch. It's just it's not the case in the school that Aaron attends. Now, they're no telling lies. My two go to... No, I know they weren't telling lies, of course. My two go to Claudie's school and get in trouble for coats. They actually panic about it. Okay, this is something we need to talk about more. The Garda have now deployed the riot police to areas that have protests outside housing immigrants. Instead of listening to the people, Garda are now stopping these protests with force. Anthony on Facebook, the government have changed their approach to bringing refugees. They've deployed the riot squad, so the views of local communities don't matter. And the government have responded by sending in the heavy mob. This shows the contempt they have for the Irish people. A bit unfortunate for the Gardaí too, who are instructed in what to do. Other countries have gas installation and it's ready available to them. Here in Donegal, gas is not available everywhere. That is why turf burning is so important, especially for those who don't have other heating options. You can get a tank of gas too, though, can't you? Similar to home heating oil. I think quite a few do have that. Greg, can't keep services open, but look at all the money spent housing illegals. They're not illegals, but I take your point. They're only illegals once they're... officially, according to the government, once they've been refused right to stay here. Last one, just before we take the bingo numbers. I 100% would love if assisted dying was allowed in Ireland. My husband had been told to take me to Sweden or Iceland in case I'm ever unable to function, but my mind is awake. That to me would be living hell. I've watched my mum suffer in death. She had cancer and it was a horrible way to die. It's inhumane, and a dog wouldn't be allowed to die like that. I think if there is 100% no hope of a life, then let them get a wee injection and save the pain of family watching and the dignity of the patient as well. And in some countries, it's actually a vial, effectively, that is consumed. My thing is the protections. As we were sort of saying yesterday, that sometimes people feel they're a burden and when they're not. There are people, it's just a very tough one. I can't formulate the words to do the topic justice, to be honest with you, just at this time. I'd have to think a little bit more about it, but I just hope it is, if it is introduced here, that it's not... that people don't feel compelled to go down that route, not because they don't want to need care, but because they don't want to put pressure on their family to provide that care. Things like that. It would break my heart if people were choosing to do that, or maybe that's their right as well. I don't know. But it would be very saddening to me if people felt that they were a burden, or they were trying to do other people a favour and had this option and were starting to take that option. That would just be one of the issues that would be there for me. Again, though, as I say, I am just like, I presume, an awful lot of people out there. I'm just working through it in my own head at the moment, and dependent on the conversations that you have and the compelling arguments that you hear, my views are very open to change right across the board. And certainly in that area, I would trust those that know more about it than I would. My only initial reaction is what I feel inside. But as I say, like most issues, if I speak to the right people and get the right sort of information, those views can change as well. All right, live with Garda Grania. Doherty after these.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday, the 16th of January. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S12. It's game number 3. The numbers are 24, 30, 74, 63, 52, 81, 43, 38, 53, and finally 58. Phone your claim tonight, 104833 before 8 tonight. Leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Oh, Ciara, congratulations. Look at her tiny fingers. She's beautiful, just like her mammy.
Oh, thank you.
Have you got a name yet?
Well, we're thinking...
She's going to call her Brooklyn. Brooklyn, Massachusetts, Phoenix, Arizona.
Your vote is your voice, so if you don't speak up, someone else is deciding for you.
Baltimore, Kentucky, Murphy O'Neill.
Who's that?
Hospital porter. Just back from his American road trip.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter, so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
Oh, Brookie, Massachusetts, come to Auntie Hannah.
iMotors are your main Nissan dealership in the Northwest, a trusted Japanese brand for generations. Contact iMotors to find out why people who make the move to Nissan never change. To check out our 2-for-1 offers, visit imotors.ie.
Backstage Bar and Grill is open for breakfast, lunch and dinner 7 days a week. If you're looking for healthy options this January, we have a great selection of delicious salads, sandwiches and more. Call Century Complex on 074 91 219 76 to book your table.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. It is Tuesday the 16th of January 2024 and it's time for Community Garda information, and we're joined in studio today by Garda Grania Doherty from the Letterkenny Garda station. Good morning, Grania.
Good morning, Greg.
It's good to have you back on the programme. Okay, well, we'll start with appeals, and it's a situation in Bridgend Garda is seeking the public's assistance in relation to.
Yes, so Gardaí are investigating a number of incidents of criminal damage and an incident of the hijacking of a car. This car was a grey Seat Altea, Northern Irish registration. It's a 2012 model. This occurred in Bridgend Village on Sunday the 14th of January, and these incidents occurred in and around 8:30pm. So investigating Gardaí are appealing for any witnesses to these incidents to come forward. They're particularly appealing to anybody who was in that area with a dash cam from the Bridgend area between 8:15pm and 8:45pm to make contact. So it will be within Bridgend itself, within the main thoroughfare of the village itself. Anyone with any information is asked to contact Burnfoot Garda Station on 074 936 8194. The Garda confidential line, as always, in relation to any of our appeals, can be contacted on 1800 666 111, or of course any Garda station if you wish to call in.
Gardaí investigating burglary of a business premises in Culdaff.
Yeah, so this burglary happened at a business premises at Main Street, Culdaff. This happened in the early hours of Tuesday the 9th of January, in and around between midnight and 6:20am. So the rear door of this premises was forced open and entry was gained. A substantial amount of cigarettes and cash were stolen from this premises. So we're appealing to anybody who may have been in that area, they've seen something untoward, out of the ordinary, to give us a buzz. If anybody is offered cigarettes maybe in bulk for sale, or bulk packets of cigarettes, we'd like to know about that immediately. If anybody was in the area, if they have any information, residents in that area also, if they noticed any suspicious activity, any relevant information can be passed on to Gardaí in Buncrana on 932-0540, and as always, again, the Garda confidential line 1800 666 111.
An investigation launched into a burglary in Malin.
Yeah, so this happened in around the same dates, I think. Yeah, this burglary happened at a yard at Priestfield, Malin, between 3pm on Monday the 8th of January and 2:30pm on Tuesday the 9th. Entry was gained to this yard. The gate lock was forced open. When entry was gained to the yard, a lock then on a shed was forced open within the yard, and a Honda power washer and approximately 1,000 litres of diesel were stolen. So we're appealing again to anybody who may be able to assist with relevant information in relation to this incident to make contact with Gardaí in Buncrana on 932-0540.
All right, and a theft from a car in Muff now.
Yeah, so this happened in the area of the Springfield Estate in Muff between Friday the 12th of January at 4pm and midday on Saturday the 13th of January. So a resident in that estate parked their car at their house and discovered the following day that both the front and rear registration plates were stolen from the car. And this has been quite a common theme recently. I think over the past few weeks we've had incidents, similar types of incidents where number plates are being stolen from cars. If anybody observed any suspicious activity in and around Springfield Estate and Muff between those dates, we ask them to contact Gardaí in Buncrana on 074 932 0540. And should anybody have this happen, should somebody go out and even their front or rear registration plate is stolen from their car, we would ask them and advise them to contact Gardaí and make us aware of it, just in case those plates were to be used again in a serious incident.
It is an interesting one, because I think maybe if it was one, maybe someone might think it's fallen off and not be minded to contact Gardaí, but obviously in this case the front and back. And it is likely, I don't think we're giving anyone any ideas, that these number plates then are used to conceal the true identity of a vehicle.
Well, that would be the worry, really. You know, that would be our worry. So we do, anybody that somebody may think it's not really relevant. I don't want to be wasting the guards' time. It's most certainly not a waste of our time, and we do want to hear about it. Most especially, as you said, if your front plate was missing, you would think maybe you hit a bump and the plate fell off.
Yeah.
But the fact that both plates were stolen, there's a more sinister element
so
to that.
keep an eye out for that as well. And as well as that too, once you've flagged it and reported it, presumably then the Garda have it flagged somewhere or other, that if it's involved, it kind of it can quickly eliminate you from being tied into anything or something. So it's very much in the victim's interest to let the Garda know, even if they suspect maybe it fell off. Right, Garda looking for information in relation to a road crash in St Johnstone.
Yeah, so this collision happened on the Derry Road out of St Johnstone on Saturday the 13th of January in around 8:45pm. So a blue BMW with partial registration of RNZ. It was travelling from Lifford towards St Johnstone when it struck a car that had been travelling in the opposite direction. The driver of this BMW didn't remain at the scene, and thankfully the driver of the car that had been struck wasn't injured. We believe that this BMW was then driven across the border, following the incident. We're appealing to anybody who may have travelled in the area of St Johnstone or on the road between Lifford and St Johnstone between 8:15pm and 9:15pm who had a dash cam, particularly, to make that footage available to Gardaí. If anybody witnessed this collision also, of course, we ask them to make contact with us in Letterkenny on 9167 100.
And it's kind of a reappeal in relation to an incident in December in Buncrana now.
Yeah, so this incident happened at Ardravin Square in Buncrana on Monday the 18th of December, and Gardaí in Buncrana have just asked me today to reissue this appeal. They do believe that there were witnesses in the area who perhaps haven't been in contact with them yet, so we're just making a reappeal today in relation to it. A female youth, she was struck by a vehicle at that location. She did sustain injuries, none of which thankfully are life-threatening in nature. We're appealing firstly for the driver of this car involved to make contact with Gardaí. It's believed that this driver did stop at the scene for a short period of time and then left the area again. So the vehicle has been described as being a dark coloured saloon style vehicle, possibly an Audi. And we're asking again, we do believe that somebody did witness this incident, and we're appealing to them to make contact with us. The area would have been very busy at the time, and if anybody was in that area with a dash cam, that would be invaluable to us, really, if anybody could make that footage available to us. Gardaí in Buncrana can be contacted on 9320540 if anybody has any relevant information in relation to that.
And I presume the person involved in that, obviously they knew it happened, are burdened with that to some extent. You know what I mean? I'd say it's been sitting on their head now for a month. They know the Garda is still actively investigating it. Maybe they can relieve themselves of that pressure and that guilt by making contact themselves.
Of course. And yeah, the driver, we do believe the driver did stop to check, was the person okay? So we're just appealing them to come in, come in, speak to anybody in Buncrana, or even if they're living in a different area, call to your local station, just make them aware that it was you. CCTV from the area also is being viewed, and it's very possible that the car will be identified, and then Gardaí will be arriving at the door of the driver at some stage. So rather than have that happen, we would rather they would come to us.
Yeah, okay. Right, now, I could be a colleague of yours next. It's not too late.
I was just going to suggest that
to you. It is not too late. What do you think?
I don't know. Are you considering a career change?
Publicjobs.ie.
Yeah, this recruitment campaign started yesterday, January 15th.
I'm back in.
You're back in. You're in the running. we could switch positions yet.
Definitely.
You could be here giving the community Garda slot, and I could be interviewing you in a few years. So yeah, the recruitment campaign kicked off yesterday, January 15th. People possibly have seen the adverts already. They're on the radio, they're on TV, newspapers. This competition will run until 3 p.m. on the 8th of February. So to apply, you go to www.publicjobs.ie, create an account there, and that's where you apply to take part in this campaign. So the age limit, following a government decision, the age limit to apply to become a Garda trainee has increased from 35 to 50 from this competition onwards. So this is the starting point really now. If you're up to age 50, you wish to join, now's your chance to do so. Maybe some people might have thought the opportunity had passed by, or maybe they're already considering a career change. Do you know what? People call into the station. I did say this a few weeks ago, and they're more than welcome to do so. We would have trainee Gardaí in the station in any of the 24-hour stations: Ballyshannon, Milford, Buncrana and Letterkenny. We would have student Gardaí, we've probationer Gardaí who are not too long out of the Templemore system. I mean, in terms of asking me, I'd be considered a dinosaur at this stage.
Yeah,
you know,
you're a
that
veteran.
Well, the whole training process has changed since I was there. I mean, of course, I could advise people in relation to my experience of being a guard, and I have no problem.
But there
doing
are
that.
videos actually, you know, because it's always been the case, so it's not specific to this, that the fitness exams and what have you are variant already, dependent on age and gender.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new there, and they are being adjusted for this cohort. And there are videos available that people can practice them and see how they'd get on, or if they're capable of it as well, through that website, if I'm not mistaken, or at least through the Garda Síochána website. But that being said, if you join the Guards, there's no fast tracking here. You do end up doing what everybody else does, which is the probation period. You're on the front line, you're out there, you'll be expected to work nights and weekends and what have you.
Yeah.
But that being said, there is a starting salary, and then there is progression within that, and there's uplifts through overtime and allowances and what have you. So, hey, it might be there for someone. And I think, too, people might wonder, well, do we really need older guards? But different people have different ages and different backgrounds, and I know the Garda are keen for the force to represent the population as much as possible, but they bring different, you know, after the probation is finished, they bring different life experiences to the job as well. So I think there's lots of advantages for the force as well as for those who might be inclined to.
There are, of course, and listen,
apply.
maybe sometimes in a way somebody that's that bit younger is a bit, should I say, wet behind the ears, you know, and often people maybe in their late 30s, 40s have had a lot of life experience, and they can bring a lot of positive experiences that they've lived throughout their life to the job. And we would ask everybody to consider people from different backgrounds, no matter what your situation is. And if you're doubting it, if you're on the borderline and you're kind of considerate and you're not sure, call to the Garda station.
The 24-hour stations.
Yeah, speak to any of us maybe that have experience, you know, years of experience within the Guards. Talk to the probationer Guards. They can go through the training process with you, the fitness test. They can explain each step to you, and then maybe you'd be better informed then really to make your decision before you apply. Yeah.
For sure. Right, okay, text alert meeting, it's already taken place.
It did, yeah. We had it last night down in the Station House Hotel. It was held for the coordinators of the text alert schemes from within the Letterkenny district. So we have 12 text alert schemes within the Letterkenny district.
Can I ask before you go on? There used to be an awful lot of talk of that stuff, right? And then you would see these texts aired on social media or whatever it might be. Is there still a very active text alert system across the county, or has it lost a bit of momentum through COVID, or maybe volunteers moving on or something? Like, is it a area that needs a rejigging, rejuvenating? Sorry,
it is, and this is countrywide. This is not just within Letterkenny or Donegal, you know. And unfortunately, that is the case. That's the main reason why the meeting was called this night. We're trying to rejuvenate the scheme really within the Letterkenny district. We're trying to get it back up and running as it was maybe a number of years ago. And because of COVID, as you said, there's a new call system in place also within the Guards. But for various other reasons, the scheme has, it has started to slip in ways and become fairly dormant in some areas really. So we're just keen to get it up and running. The groups are keen to get it up and running, and in Garda Síochána we're keen also. That scheme is of great benefit to us, to the local communities. It's of massive benefit to us also to receive the information as a result of these text alerts going out. So we had Superintendent Gretty Sheridan from the Letterkenny district. She was there last night. Councillor Patrick McGowan. Mr Niall Garvey also travelled up. We're thankful to him. He travelled up from Clare last night. He's the CEO of Muncher na Tíre. So, and various members of Garda Síochána were in attendance. So he, Niall Garvey, gave a presentation last night. There's a new app, a Carja app. Many text alert schemes throughout the country, I should say, are using this app and have been using it for a long time now. So he explained this app, the benefits of the app. So each group now has gone away. They're discussing it with their membership. They're deciding whether or not to take this app on board. Listen, it's a matter, we all have to get our heads together now. We have to sit down. We have to try and rejuvenate it any way we can, get it up and running. I think a lot of people too depend, they get a lot of peace of mind from the text alert scheme, to be kept in the loop, to know what's happening. And as I said already, it's a massive benefit to us to receive the information from them, that we depend on the eyes and ears on the ground. We depend on the public. Yep. So we are just letting people know. We're very thankful also. I just want to say to anybody, any of the groups, the people who came to the meeting this night, the roads weren't great, and we'd like to thank them for braving the weather last night and coming out. So we are going to hold a further meeting now in the very near future. We're going to circulate details of that to all the groups. And we're all going to sit down in the meantime, get our heads together and come up with ways that we can revamp it and get it up and running as smoothly as possible.
Okay.
So I would just like to thank everybody again that came last night. If anybody's interested actually in setting up also a text alert scheme within their own area that hasn't already got one, they can contact me even at Letterkenny Station, even if it's not within my area, and I can then put them in touch with the coordinator from their local they may possibly have a group set up already in their area that they're not aware of, or if they want to set up, I had a man contact me yesterday wishes to set one up in his area. There's none up and running there already, and so I'm looking into that for him at the minute and get that.
All right, okay. Keep us up to date as things move forward in that regard. Okay, some questions. This one regarding firearms licensing. Is there any plans to reform the application process, as it seems to take a long time to process and it's not consistent from one application to another? In particular, substitution applications could be slicker. I know the process in Northern Ireland could be processed on the day by a registered gun dealer. A reform could save on Garda Síochána resources and be more accommodating to the applicant.
This caller is possibly very right that a reform could maybe solve many of these problems, but there are no plans at present that I'm aware of, and I have checked, to reform the firearms application system. Sometimes when applications come in, there can be a hold-up. There could be these forms. There's a lot of boxes.
Passports, is it?
Some of these.
No, what I mean, you know how we keep messing up the passport applications. Is it like?
Yeah, kind of like that. Sometimes people maybe forget to update the information. You know, if they're using a certain land and the landowner's details, and that needs to be changed, and maybe that's not changed, that could hold it up. Then the confusion, you know, involving that. Sometimes people forget there could be the smallest box they haven't ticked, or they've left out vital information in the form, and then that causes a hold up. We would ask everybody when you're submitting your form, please go through it with a fine tooth comb, make sure you've no errors, you're not missing any vital information on it. This can hold up the process. Of course, loads of relevant checks have to be carried out on our side too before it can be processed. We would say also, if anybody has submitted a firearms application, if they're waiting and they feel that it's a lengthy period since they submitted it, please do ring your local station or ring, you know, your local district headquarters, and we will check it out for you. Yeah.
Okay. Greg, could you ask Grania about the lane set up at Lifford Roundabout? What lane do you use if you are coming across Lifford Bridge, heading to Letterkenny? What lane do you use? Okay, so I know where they're talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the golden rule, listen, I will talk about Lifford Roundabout in particular in a second. So this golden rule should help all motorists to drive safely at any roundabout, regardless of the number of exits in that roundabout. So you have to think of the roundabout as a clock. If taking any exit from the 6 o'clock to the 12 o'clock position, motorists should generally approach in the left-hand lane. If taking any exit between 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, you should generally approach in the right-hand lane. So if there are many of the roundabouts now have the road markings with the arrows telling you exactly which lane you should be in on approach to that roundabout. And if there are those markings, of course, follow those directions. So in relation to this roundabout in Lifford, there are no specific road markings or signage to tell you specifically which lane you should be in, you know. Sometimes you see maybe Letterkenny, you know, in one lane on the ground, you know exactly Stranraer in the other lane. This isn't the case at that roundabout. So when you're travelling in Lifford from the bridge, I think that's what the question said, from the bridge, you're heading towards the roundabout. There are only two options available to you, the left-hand turn and stay in the right lane, or take the left-hand turn towards Stranraer. So based on the 12 o'clock rule, if you wish to travel to Letterkenny, you should remain in the right-hand lane, because the exit to Letterkenny is between the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock position.
Well, now, Grania, I don't want to fall out with you here, and you are the guard. Seriously?
Yeah, well, now I have checked this with my colleagues that in the station, and
it's
this
1
is
o'clock.
I am open to correction now.
No,
but this
I'm not contradicting you, but oh no, I'm going to have people cut me up left, right, and centre now.
Oh no, I know, no. And the general rule at roundabouts is, you see, when you're in the left-hand lane, that's for the first and second exit.
You need the right-hand lane to go into Lifford or to return back over the bridge. Leave the left-hand lane for. It's close enough to 12, Grania. It's a little after 12.
It is after 12,
Greg.
It's a little after 12. It is. This is the general consensus. I have checked it out. I have asked.
Hear you.
Oh no, I know. And listen, I've read up on it as well. And I know generally rules can vary depending on the type of the roundabout, depending on whether or not there's markings on the road.
There's these markings that you see them at Tulliore Roundabout and others, whereby there are two lanes, but there's no direction. They've got these strange shaped triangles. That means take your pick.
That is the case, actually, at the Lifford roundabout. It is the triangle shape that's on the road. There's no,
So maybe it's just whatever's best for the movement of traffic then, really, at that point.
Well, I would imagine so. I mean,
people coming down Lurgy Brack, this is completely separate. People coming down Lurgy Brack and using the right-hand lane to turn left to Letterkenny does my head in.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to do it, but if we all did it, then it'd be a disaster, because that leaves 3 lanes of traffic going into 2 lanes of traffic in towards Letterkenny, which I think has been the result of a lot of crashes at the time. But if people think they can save 3 or 4 minutes, they are going to go into the wrong lane, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, listen, I think the issue probably would be resolved with the proper road markings and the proper signage,
100%.
you know, because I know, look, there's a lot of confusion around that, and many other roundabouts also.
But even when there is proper signage,
yeah, well, I'm only basing.
People play fast and loose on roundabouts.
They do generally, unfortunately.
Indicators are so important on a roundabout.
They are, of course,
so important on a roundabout.
And I think, look, there's a lot of confusion generally in relation to roundabouts, big roundabouts, whether they're a mini roundabout like the one in Lifford, but it's just based on the 12 o'clock rule that when, you know, if it's after 12 o'clock, you know, that you stay in the right hand lane. And
if there's no other turn off before 12 though, other than the one out towards Ballabafay, Grania.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do a poll here.
We're gonna. Yeah, I am open to correction, but
you're the letter of the law.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I have asked colleagues. I've checked.
That's why you should be here, and I should be a trainee Garda over there.
Well, you see, that could happen yet too.
Right, so, I don't know. Listen, I don't think they'd accept me. All right, listen, of course they would. Why wouldn't they? All right, Grania, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
That's Garda Grania Doherty with the Letterkenny Garda Station, and that was Community Garda information for this Tuesday, the 16th of January. The item's back for you live after 10 o'clock next Tuesday, and we'll recap this on our Facebook page and on Garda Síochána Facebook page a little later on in the day.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Is that the new Opel?
Yes, of course.
Does it really look that good?
Yes, of course.
Is it fun to drive?
Yes, of course.
Is it packed with smart tech?
Yes, of course.
Can I test drive it right now at Heron Auto Opel?
Yes, of course.
The new Opel Corsa, now available. Hybrid and electric coming soon. See heronopel.ie for details.
It's time to transform your smile with the help of Blue Poppy Dental, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Their expert team offer orthodontics, teeth whitening, implants and composite bonding all in-house. Start your journey by calling 074 97 40404 or easily book your appointment online at a time that suits you through their user-friendly patient portal. Available anytime, anywhere at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Gift vouchers available.
New this week in Home Store and More. All artificial plants are all half price. That's right, all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price artificial plants are gone, they're gone. Also, all car accessories and all home gym equipment are still all half price. But when all the half price car accessories and all the half price home gym equipment are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Crawford Tiles and More Castlefin. January sale now on. Big reductions in store on tiles, bathware and wood flooring. Delivery and fitters available. Get that bargain while stocks last. Remember, at Crawford's we've got it covered for you. That's Crawford Tiles and More Castlefin. 914342.
Hyundai's big offers continue at Hyundai dealerships nationwide. Test drive the 2024 Hyundai range, including the all-new Kona, Ireland's best-selling car, the Tucson, and winners of World Car of the Year, the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6. Avail of the big selection of offers when you book your Hyundai 241 model. Hyundai, a class apart.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600.
Now, we mentioned this for you yesterday. Oxfam, I beg your pardon, Oxfam Ireland have put together figures which shows that Ireland's richest 1% own 35.4% of Irish financial wealth. The Director of Public Affairs at Oxfam Ireland is Breed McGrath. Good morning, Breed. Thanks very much for your time today.
Good morning, Greg. Not at all.
It's hard to get your head around it, isn't it? 1% of the population, the richest, hold 35.4% of Ireland's financial wealth. It's a huge number, but a small amount of people.
And it's even worse when you consider that Ireland's 2 richest people, right, who are billionaires, have more wealth than 50% of the population.
Combined.
The 2 of them combined, yeah.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the 2 of them combined and the 50% of the Irish population combined. So yes, like half of us equal the 2 of them.
Yeah. And in terms of, people paying the fair amount of tax, these people are kind of somewhat insulated about it because our tax system is set up, isn't it, right? So you tax income, but you don't actually tax wealth as such. Or perhaps we don't tax it effectively to ensure that it's a fairer country.
So that's exactly right. Ireland, to be fair to us, has a progressive tax system when it comes to taxing income or earnings. So it is greater at the top and it is somewhat redistributed to the people most in need. So in that sense, we're not the worst country in the world by any manner of means, but where we are actually quite bad in global comparative terms is on taxing wealth. For some reason, we have let that go in Ireland as an opportunity, not just to draw in money into the public purse, which is important, but also to understand that everything has to be about your fair share. So a lot of these guys can kind of move money at the flick of a switch, but they also pay serious money to lawyers and professionals to do what's called aggressive tax planning. I think the rest of us might call that tax avoidance, or there might even be another word for it, which is even less legal. But I think all of us understand, why are there these people at the very, very top who have billions at their disposal? And it turns out in some ways they're paying less tax than their secretary. Like, there's something very wrong there.
Yeah, and as well as that too, and it's nationally, but it's also globally, that we have a situation whereby the poorer are getting poorer. People are literally starving. And yet we have a small group of individuals that have not only a ton of the world's wealth, but it's actually growing and growing to the point whereby we're going to see our first trillionaire very, very soon. And you can compare that to how destitution is spreading around the world, and people are getting richer and more people are getting poorer.
So that's exactly right, Greg. And it's a sad fact, and I suppose it takes reports like this, big global reports from Oxfam that they do every day to really point it out to us, because maybe we don't live in these worlds, so we don't know. But the world's 5 richest men, as you said, and they're all men, have seen their fortunes double since 2020, while 5 billion people got poorer. So, and exactly as you say, Oxfam are saying at the current rate, so if nothing changes and we stay exactly the way we are, in a decade, the world will see its first trillionaire. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it...
That's a billion, isn't it? Really effective.
It's really tricky to figure out, even just like, what does that look like, all stacked up in a room? But even more worryingly, it will take 229 years to end poverty. So
that's if there was any will at all to end poverty, but there isn't. And what annoys me a little bit too, and I'm not being critical of people, but one of those billionaires, the free thinkers, or those that see themselves as free thinkers and might call other people sheep, they hold some of these people up to be gods. And they are sitting on this massive, massive wealth while children are unable to feed themselves, dying of starvation. And a lot of them are making the money off war as well and all those type of things, but we could get into that till we're blue in the face. Either way, you think, or not you personally, but you probably hold the view as well, that the government needs to look at a property tax, not necessarily an income tax as such, but not a property tax, but a wealth tax.
A wealth tax.
A wealth tax in this country, because it could raise an awful lot of money, but then you have to trust that money would be evenly distributed as well, and that's another story altogether. But a start would be that everyone pays their fair share.
Yes, because we're all expected to pay our fair share. So again, I don't see why these people can somehow avoid it. And the other thing is their wealth. I think, like you say, I think we somehow have stars in our eyes about these billionaires, and we think in some way, you know, that it was purely genius that got them to that place. That is the case for some folks, but mostly, as the report shows, wealth begets wealth. You know, so if you sort of start wealthy, you can continue and build that up. A lot of wealth is inherited wealth also. But there are a group of billionaires or millionaires called patriotic millionaires. And one of those people is called Abigail Disney. Now, again, hers would be inherited wealth, and she's not short of a few bob, as they say. But Abigail Disney has set up this group of patriotic millionaires. They're actually telling, in her case, the United States, but they're from all around the world. And they're saying, look, we are willing to pay our fair share, but you have to tax us. And what she says is there's more than enough money in the world to solve the world's problems. The problem is it's held in the hands of the few. So, like, that's a really sad thing to think about. It's also true when you think about food. Like, there's more than enough food in the world for people not to be hungry. The problem is getting it to them. Yeah. So I think we can't let these moments pass us by and not understand that we are living in a world where inequality is getting worse.
I don't know how people, and listen, I'm not on about moderate wealth, because those people are most likely to pay their share, and that's fine, and people should be encouraged to accumulate wealth and fair play to them. But I just would struggle to understand how people could have more money than they can even comprehend or spend or whatever, or even flutter away and sleep comfortably in their bed at night, knowing that money is locked away somewhere doing nothing except gathering more money, whilst there are people that are completely and utterly destitute in other areas of the world. You would have to be assured that money would be spent in a way that would lift those other people. But I still don't understand how I struggle to sleep at night because of lack of money sometimes. I think I would sleep more difficultly if I had that amount of money and simply just slept on it. Okay, listen, it's food for thought. Breed, thank you so much for your time, and take care of yourself. It's been lovely speaking to you.
Not at all. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Breed McGrath, Director of Public Affairs at Oxfam. I do have to take a very short break. Back with our next guest after these.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Tá rud éigean iontach ag tuairliú fud na hÉireann. Omachóirí céad an uairche ó diontú in a go-imróirí den chéad grád. Céilí córach idirchúnta in a Garda agus iarrasairí ag bartú chun tachiúil in a chéile. Na himróirí club agus cúnta is fearr ag seasamh le chéile ina ngeansaithe choláiste agus ollscoile chun immert, feidhmiú agus buachan le chéile. Tá Electric Ireland bródúil as na craobhacha comógaíochta tríú le bhéal a orú.
Danion seoptaí ísle agus ard chostais fuineh, tá sé tábhachtach go bhainnig gach duine te agus bhaláin sa gheara. Tá sé tábhachtach a hiiscin freisin, gus a bháiltear airgid agus go leidítar an sioncar an éráid nuair a bháiltear fuineh. Is bearta maithe iad an thermostat a leidú faoi chéim amháin. Gan faris ardineh áil tramadóí a úsáid, a chaháin nuair gá, agus gan an tas a chuir I seomraí nach bhfuil in úsáid. Tá an rialtas ag chuir tacaíochtaí éagsúla fáil chun an túlach ardailig a leidú. Can tacaíocht agus cóla a fháil, take chuig gov.ie/úsáid níos lú. Ó rialtas na hÉireann.
What features do you like in a new car?
Good tech. A big screen for playing music and putting up maps.
Comfort. The car has to be comfortable.
I like good bright LED headlights.
I like a reversing camera and sensors.
I look for a good warranty and a decent price. Well, the new Citroën C4X U Edition has all these features and more. Test drive the new Citroën C4X at Highland Motors, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. Oh, and the price? $29,900 on the road.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air to water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Mainly cloudy this morning with outbreaks of rain and some further falls of sleet or snow, transitioning mostly to rain around about now. The rain will become patchier through this afternoon, temperatures of 4 to 6 degrees. Right, there was some confusion as it relates to checktheregister.com and whether or not you're registered or not registered and what information may or may not need to be provided. Councillor Nicholas Crossan joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Nicholas.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, so there was an error on the website. So what was the error, Nicholas?
The error, and I checked it out with the Customs House yesterday, Greg, because it was a fairly hot topic yesterday. The wording was, it could be interpreted in a various different ways, but it was, as far as a lot of people are concerned, it was very clear that you must, if you're registered, you must include now your PPSN number, your date of birth and your air code. So just at the outset, Greg, I'd like to tell anybody that is on the register at this present moment in time, there is no need to do that, and I can have that confirmed, that there is no need to confirm your PPS number or your date of birth or your air code if you're on the register. If you're registering for the first time, yes, you're going to have to provide your PPSN number. Mm-hmm. But there was huge confusion throughout the whole of Ireland yesterday regarding it.
And why is it controversial that even if you were on the register and you were trying to check, that you would have to include that information? Pardon my ignorance, Nicholas. Why was that controversial?
Some people, and I can see that their point on it, that they don't like to give away their information to different bodies, and I can see that. And when I heard about this yesterday, Greg, I went on myself too, and it's very easy. It's checktheregister.ie. I went on to that. It says you must upgrade your date of birth and all that. So I put those details in yesterday. I have no problem with it. But what I'm saying, there are people who have a problem putting in date of birth or their air code.
But they would have to have done that already to be on the register, would they not? They're just at the most reaffirming it.
I don't think the air code was on it.
Okay,
Greg. You see, the old way, you still can go to the Garda station with a form and go down and get identified at the Garda station. If you don't want to go online, you can still go down to that, and you do not have to give your PPS number, as to the best of my knowledge, on that particular form. But what I'm saying is that the local authorities, for our example, Donegal County Council, are in charge of ensuring that the register is accurate and correct. It's the people's own responsibility to register, to vote. And I think that's what happened. There's an awful lot of people saying, okay, there's a referendum coming up in March and there's the local elections coming up in June, and they want to make sure that they're on to vote for that, and that confusion yesterday. So I would say that it'll probably hit nationally today that it is coming out as your PPS number, date of birth, and air code at this present minute in time. But what I could...
Well, they've changed the website already, but people have already received documentation through the post with the misinformation on it. So what you're giving people is the up-to-date information. They can disregard that area of the information on the pamphlet that might have been put through their door. Important too, I suppose, with democracy, that everyone is on the register or ensures they're on the register, because, as you say, there's a few important votes coming up this year, and it's good if people have their say.
It's good that the people have their say, but there are some people who are registered twice because they've moved from one place to another, within a local area or a different part of the county, or even out of the county.
But the thing is, Nicholas, what's frustrating about that is I can't remember when the last local elections were, but I remember saying 2019. I remember saying on the next day back or the week back, I said at the time that coming up to the next election, we're going to be talking again about this register and that people are on it twice, and there's going to be postmen that will contact us and say, that people are getting 2 cards and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And back in 2019, 2020, that was the time to go through all of this, to tidy up the register, to change the system. And yet here we are again in the mouth of referendi and elections, and we're kind of having the same conversation. It can be a frustrating little country we live in this.
It is. It's lastminute.com, and I agree 100% what you're saying, Greg. It's not to say local elections actually are 125 years old in April of this year. So I'm looking forward to celebrating in some way that women voted for the first time. Local elections is 100. So it's not only 2019, it's 1899 since this should have been. Okay. They had plenty of time to sort it out, Craig.
Listen, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate that, and good advice. Councillor Nicholas Crossan there. News on the way.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
At Citroën, we're a little obsessed with comfort. That's why we created our patented progressive hydraulic cushion suspension system. This Citroën innovation helps filter out surface irregularities like bumps and dips in the road by absorbing them as energy and dissipating them as heat, giving you a driving experience that we call the flying carpet effect. With Citroën, you don't drive, you glide. Book a test glide in a Citroën today. Visit citroen.ie.
Mar a bhfuil tú compórdaach ag déanamh rudaí ar líne, níl tú déanaar. Cláraí ar cuarsa scileanna digitacha le de bhard éidicas agus eilúna áitiúil. Takes our learn, siar in aske, hi cuicéad cuige, an cuarsa siar in aske a aimsúing ardit. Le taciacht do rialtas na héireann, ag solas agus ag an taintas orafach.
Are you a car mechanic interested in learning about electric vehicles? Northwest Regional College is delivering a 15-week course which will provide learners with a Level 4 UK or Level 6 Irish electric vehicle qualification. This cross-border programme is funded by the Department for the Economy in partnership with ATU, NWRC and the Northwest Tertiary Education Cluster. Applications close on the 19th of January at noon. Visit nwrc.ac.uk to find out more. PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
If you have a job to do over the weekend, Watson Hire have a brilliant weekend hire deal available. Get any item on Friday, keep it until Monday, and only pay for 1 day's hire. That's 3 days hire on any equipment or machinery for the price of one. So there's no excuse to get the job sorted. To book, call Watson Hire in Letterkenny on 9167777.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And one of those stories is the closure of Donegal's only child and adolescent counselling services. We're going to be speaking to the director of that service after we get the news headlines now from Donna Marie Doherty. Good morning, Donna Marie.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Garda are asking for the public's assistance in an investigation relating to a number of incidents of criminal damage and a car hijacking in Bridgend Village on Sunday evening. The car in question is a 2012 grey Seat Altea with a Northern Irish registration plate. They're particularly appealing to those with video footage, including dashcam, who were in the area between 8:15 and 8:45 to make contact. The Banking and Insurance Redress Focus Group says it's awaiting the next meeting of the subgroup set up by the Department of Housing to see what homes could be remediated under the Defective block scheme, that they will be fully remortgageable and insurable. Guarantees will only be given if the work is certified by a registered engineer. Focus Group member Seamus Devaney says if Engineers Ireland decide against the move, then government will have to revisit the scheme. Garda are appealing for information after a car is believed to have crossed the border after a collision on the Derry Road last Saturday evening. It happened at around 9:15 when a blue BMW, partial registration of RNZ, travelling from the Lifford area towards St Johnson, struck a car travelling in the opposite direction. The driver of the car that had been struck was not injured. Meanwhile, Garda are investigating 3 thefts in Inishowen. Between Monday and Tuesday last, cigarettes and cash were taken from a premises in Kildare, while a power washer and diesel were taken from a premises in Malin. Registration plates were taken from a car in Muff between Friday last and Saturday also. The PSNI say Maydown Tactical Support Group officers have been conducting road safety operations across Derry City and Strabane district, the results of which included a driver speeding almost 30 miles per hour over the limit and the seizure of suspected Class B drugs. In a statement, they say road safety is a shared responsibility for all drivers. And finally, some people with disabilities are experiencing financial abuse. A National Advocacy Service report says this is despite new laws which presume every adult has the capacity to make their own decisions until proven otherwise. In certain cases, people facing banking and digital exclusion, while others had their money restricted or limited by family members. That's all for now. Back again at 12 o'clock. Good morning.
Donna Marie, thank you very much for that.
Okay, take the next right.
Sure.
Not this right, the next right.
This is the next right.
Watch out! I meant the next right after this right.
What?
Oh.
For when a right turn becomes a wrong turn. Get car insurance you can be confident in with An Post Insurance. Go to onpostinsurance.ie or call us today. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited trading as An Post Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Best price online.
Hi, Greg. It's the same in Skolmora. They have to wear a school-issued coat, which is expensive. They also have to wear crested PE tops. I think this policy is scandalous, particularly in their current financial climate we all find ourselves in these days. Another, these parents make me laugh. They complain about the cost of a school coat, but they'll pay twice that for a branded coat. Another, yes, our college has a very strict school coat and uniform policy. Even in the hot weather last year, the children couldn't remove their jumpers. We need a bit of common sense, don't we? My children attend the community school. They must wear only the school crested coat, approximately €60. I bought these and they don't want to wear them. Maybe first, second year, but afterwards, no wind, rain or snow. Recently, the school introduced the PE uniform. Students have the option to purchase a school crested kit or buy their own plain black unbranded gear. I went with the latter as it was less expensive. Just like to add, I was bullied for style by children when I was a kid, called names and put down. That was the 90s. Don't think that it's any different at that time. The secondary school I went to had uniforms and it stopped completely. It's more stressful than you would think. The coat can last a long time. Indeed, and I get you. But if it is the coat, I suppose everybody has to have the same coat, wouldn't they? Let me see here. Some more of your comments coming in this morning. Eamon Ryan, is not respected anywhere. He's a globalist yes man. Him, Donahue and all other cronies. He's respected internationally is the point I'm making. Hi, Greg. I'm 66 and when I go to visit my mum, the first thing she says is, why are you not wearing your coat? Because I hate a heavy coat only if I really have to wear it. Another regarding the school jackets matter. It doesn't matter what the weather is. The Loretto Girls' School in Letterkenny has to wear the school jackets. It's okay on a normal day, but when it's extra cold, they should be able to wear a warmer jacket. And on it goes. Thank you so much. Keep them calls, comments coming in. We'll get to more of them as the morning progresses. But I want to say good morning now to Liam Cannon, Director of Counselling at the Rafo Diocesan Centre in Letterkenny. Thank you very much for joining us and calling up to us today. Liam, good to have you on.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay. So it is the county's only adult and child counselling service. Just to give us a sense of the work that it did and where it did it and how many, I suppose, sessions of counselling have been delivered in recent years, please.
Okay. Well, to start off, the service is in existence for 34 years. And I joined that service back almost 14 years ago. And when I joined the service, my role was Director of Counselling. We had 5 counsellors and we were delivering an adult service. Now, over the years, that service has grown and developed. And in 2016, we launched a child and adolescent service simply because we were getting a lot of parents looking for support for children and young people, and there wasn't anything available in the county. So a lady in Carndonna who had lost a child did a bit of fundraising, and from that I launched a child and adolescent service on €853. So that's the start of it. Currently, we have a team of 26 counsellors. We have extended the services out again to 7 outreach centres, and again, that's all down to need. People contacting us looking for support for children and young people. So that gives you a picture of kind of, how the service has developed and grown over the years. And 2023, we delivered approximately 3,000 sessions. That's individual sessions.
Now, you're speaking to children and adolescents, dealing with a range of issues. Can you give us a sense of what you're helping our young people with?
Well, we're dealing with practically anything. You have a lot of anxiety out there, and particularly, post-COVID. If you think about it, Greg, young people that were maybe 9 or 10 and had 3 years of kind of isolation, and now, expected to kind of move back out into the world, and they're finding it hugely challenging. So social anxiety, depression, self-harm, a whole range of them.
How
everything.
are people finding their way to your services? Were parents aware and called up? Were there signposting or reference referrals?
Yeah, well, our services are open to everybody. So, there a lot of parents will contact us and self-refer. We take referrals from HSE services as well, psychiatry.
I think that's a very important, a very important part, which we'll come to in a moment. So this is a service that the HSE themselves refer people to.
Yes, this is a service that we take referrals, as I said, from psychiatrists, GPs, psychologists, social workers. So we cover basically, a lot of the state services that are probably overloaded are referring to us as well.
I spoke to some people privately when I posted about this last night, whose family access your services, and they can't speak. They don't want to speak publicly because their children are in a good place now, and they don't want it to trigger anything or whatever. And that's it's an unfortunate but a wonderful catch-22 in that they've got young people now who are, in a really, really good place, but it's because of these services, but at the same time they can't speak out because they don't want to, But that's the type of people that have been contacting me that are going, this is unbelievable. I can't believe this is happening. It had such a positive impact on our family. Yeah, and it's not just the person you cancel, it's the family as a whole as well, I think.
Completely. Well, Greg, I can tell you that this is the only service of its kind in the county. And if you remember back at the end of 2021, I received 2 awards. One national award from the Irish Association of Counsellors and Psychotherapists, and one regional award. And, why or the reason I received those awards was because of service development in the county, and it was recognised nationally as the only service of its kind in Ireland, that we have something here very, very valuable that is serving the communities, from Carndonna right to Dunlow. And that's a huge range, and that was
so up to now. Sorry, Liam. How have you funded this?
We're currently funded by TUSLA, mainly. TUSLA would be our main funders.
Okay.
However, the monies we receive from TUSLA are for service delivery only. And our issue currently is that as a director, on 1 day a week, I am vacating that post. And I've recommended a full-time post because it does need a full-time post to drive it forward.
What funding, annual funding, would be needed now to keep this service going?
Well, as I said, this service is the only one of its kind.
Understood.
The Child and Family Agency, TUSLA, or the HSE don't have a service to take clients that are looking for these services.
But is there a budget that would keep this afloat for now?
for now, I mean, what we're looking for currently is we're looking for the salary of a new director, to put a new director in place full time. And that would be the start. You know, that if we got that right away, that would allow the services to continue. And
no one's going to do that on a voluntary basis, I take it.
Well, being honest with you, I'm there 1 day a week and I spend my weekends for the last 4 years.
I'm not calling you out on that. I'm just trying to I'm trying to preempt any comments that might come in. Why should someone take on such a role?
A huge responsibility. Yeah. It's a huge responsibility, Greg, because you're responsible for the whole running of the service and the governance.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Not a lot of governance and how things are run and what have you. Yeah. So between the jigs and the reels, effectively, you know, somewhere in the region of 50, 60, 70,000 euro, if there was some level of commitment for that for 2024, this decision could be reversed?
Well, absolutely. I mean, what we're looking for here, you know, 60, 70,000 for one post to put a director in place, and that would reverse the decision.
What was the reaction of the staff when they were informed of this?
Absolutely gutted. You know, the staff, we have a fantastic team, you know, of counsellors and admin staff down there, and I spoke with them yesterday. And it's probably the most difficult meeting I ever had with them, because I had to give them news that the service that they were delivering was closing, and absolutely gutted, devastated.
Well, we're making contact, obviously, with the various agencies and public representatives who, as I said at the start of the show, if they have any influence in this is a service that could be saved. We talk about the awful Creasler tragedy that people are still trying to work their way through. It is that's another instance whereby your services came to the fore, isn't it? In offering support. So I'm trying to. Sometimes when you talk about, you know, a certain amount of counselling sessions over a certain amount of period of time, I don't think maybe it gives a sense of the work that you're doing. So that's why I'm selecting this, if that is okay with you. So in the event of something that's probably more imaginable for us, as unimaginable as it is, the Creasler tragedy, a lot of counselling services were provided, and again, services that are not available in this county that were available through you were provided at that time.
Absolutely, Greg. And you know, currently, you know, we do have clients in our services who have been impacted or involved in the whole Creasler tragedy, and I mean the work that is very specialised work. It's trauma work. You know, it's not every service that offers that either. And again, you know, should this service come to an end, where are these clients going to go? Because currently our services have approximately about 360 clients on our waiting list. And if this, you know, I suppose...
So we should be really talking about increasing funding to increase the services, not talking about epoxy 60,000 euro to keep this going. Pardon
100%, yeah, no, yeah, that's 100% right.
Tradesman's language, so to speak. But we should be talking about how this can grow to support the 26 councillors that are already there, maybe expand that and to shorten that waiting list. Instead, we're talking about the only child and adolescent counselling service. I've done so many stories over the last year about a dramatic increase in young people and their mental health.
Yeah.
And we have one service in all of Donegal. I really wish people were more angry. I presume people are very angry. I know people associated with the service are. I don't know, have we received any press releases from opposition TDs, current TDs, ministers saying they'll make representations to some extent, and it may come, the silence is a little bit deafening here. You know, it doesn't matter what party you're a member of or not.
No.
This is about our children here. 15,000 counselling sessions over the last 6 years, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's
I've spoken to families whose children they're adults now, and they're getting on with their lives because of this service. This is one service that another service that is being taken from Donegal. There's nothing to replace it. Those people that you're engaging with, where do they go to next?
Yeah.
The HSE seem to be suggesting you haven't applied for funding, and that's why that you can go to application, online.application.form or whatever it might be, and actually try and have some sort of a non-statutory agency funding. Why did you not pursue the HSE route in relation to seeking funding?
I'm glad you actually raised that point for me, because you know I did read that yesterday myself, and I suppose let me just explain a little bit about that. Yes, the HSE does have that service level agreement option in place. However, for us to avail of a service level agreement, we would have had to apply for this 6 months ago. This situation didn't arise 6 months ago. So really, that option isn't open to us currently, and funding for 2024 has already been decided by the HSE. So, I think really what I would be saying to the HSE about this is really, if we take what we delivered last year, which is 3,000 counselling sessions, if that was delivered within the HSE, it would cost in the region of 273,000. Now, we delivered those 3,000 sessions for 105,000. So there's a savings there to the state in terms of waiting lists, but in terms of monetary value of €168,000. And, what we're asking for now is immediate, because this is the problem has only arisen.
You mentioned that TUSLA being one of the funders, they seem to be suggesting in their word soup here, they seem to be suggesting that they will continue the existing level of funding, and they want to engage with the centre to see how the services can be continued under the existing funding. You're saying simply that's not possible, that's not doable.
Well, the existing funding, as I said, is about service delivery.
What does service that mean? Sorry, just in lay person's terms. Does that mean the counsellors themselves?
Yeah, that goes towards counselling sessions. So when we receive funding, the funding, it's very clear guidance with it and stipulation that it has to be only spent on counselling sessions. But again, I suppose this is a little bit like a ship without a captain or a plane without a pilot. You have to have the upper levels there.
Where did we come to this point that, Liam, and again, I believe just asking straight questions, and then we get to straight answers, okay? And it's not a probing question, but that this service is there, it's running really, really well. You could always do with more funding, of course, don't get me wrong, but that we've arrived at a point now that effectively the whole thing can collapse off the back of one person not getting paid a wage.
Yeah.
So that's what it... And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but is that really... where did we get to the tipping point that the whole thing can collapse and all of these people could be without these services because of the payment of one position?
Okay, well, back in September, I decided after almost 14 years to vacate the post, simply because I'm there 1 day a week. I have my own practice as well on the other 4 days. So for the last 4 years, I'm putting in my weekends to it. So
would you be minded to apply for this position if funded?
No, I'm vacating it completely. Completely.
Yeah. But, just to be absolutely clear, you understand?
But Greg, the point is that for somebody to come in to replace me, then it needs to be a full-time post.
Yeah.
Because
it's grown. You've grown this from €850 to where it's at now.
Yeah.
So and you can't continue to give the level of commitment that you are. You have to look after yourself as well and your own endeavours. Okay. I just wanted that to be so there's no ambiguity there, Liam, and you've answered that really clearly, and I fully get that.
Good. Yeah.
If where do you think this money's? Where do you think this money can or is likely to come from to maintain this service? TUSLA are not in negotiating mode here. Well, there is a process seemingly with the HSE that possibly it's open to be engaged with.
Yeah, but not until 2025 or, for 2025.
Okay. And again, another critical piece of information. This cannot limp along. And it's not limping because it's a very well organised situation, don't get me wrong. The situation can't limp along till 2025.
Well, Greg, my finish date for me leaving the post was the 2nd of January. But I'm not able to do that and I'll tell you why. Because if I step out of the post currently,
it collapses
immediately because from the governance
position.
From the governance
It's very clear. So this is a lot of pressure on you. There's personal pressure as well. It's tough because you know firsthand how this is helping people. But you've have you had any contact with elected representatives?
Yes, I've had a number of calls from elected representatives, and they are lobbying on our behalf here. But I mean that's what we need. We need people out there. We need people lobbying on our behalf at the minute. We need people who have, like you said, spoke with, who have availed of the services and who found it beneficial for their children or young people, or for the adults that have gone through it. And so we need as much noise in the county as we can at the minute. But
and let's say you never know when a young person in your life might need these services. You simply don't know. So if you think that this doesn't apply to you now, God forbid it might. But this is the only show in town for counselling for children and adolescents. That's the only show in town in Donegal. So if, God forbid, it came to pass that you needed some help for someone in your life, there is literally nowhere else to turn. Now, you can go through we know the delays in other services and what have you. But this is, I think, this is the maintenance and early intervention as well, counselling, presumably.
Yes,
that's
this
is
the
to
model.
avoid things progressing and escalating. And then there are other things there, but we know the pressures that are on that. So, again, it's very much in the state's interest to invest in this. Again, I can't understand how this is being allowed to collapse over the sake of €60,000 effectively. At least that would get us into a position whereby, we could talk about what happens in 2025, 2026 and what on. This has grown because it's been very well run, but it's grown because of need. That's why 100%, it's been grown. It's grown because of the need. So that need is there, and that's why it's escalated, as well as the great people working within this service. But there is the demand, and that this has been demand driven in its growth. Yeah, well, Greg, up to 60% of our calls coming in seeking support right around the county is for children and adolescents. And so that's a really important fact. But coming back to what needs to happen here, I think state services like TUSLA and the HSE really need to sit down and think about the 360 people that are on our waiting list. Where are they going to go? They're going to go back onto their waiting list. But TUSLA aren't going to listen, right? So it's that. Well, they will listen, but it's going to take a lot of noise.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, people listening to this now need to start making calls to their councillors, to their TDs, to their ministers, and say, listen, what I've just heard on the radio, it's completely unacceptable. This is the only service. Sorry, I could have crossed you there. Continue the point you were making about TUSLA, and that they should be thinking on the 360 on the waiting list.
Yeah, and the fact that they don't have a service, child and adolescent service, but then the adult services from the HSE, as we all know, are jammed, blocked, and there's a waiting list of maybe a year or more. So up
until now, and I don't think this goes into any personal area. So, like, say for instance, TUSLA, they would have children in care, temporary care in this county, or in care settings.
Yeah.
Presumably, they also call on the centre for counselling.
They do, absolutely. They call on for children in care, and for children, who have left care. That's another service. There's loads of different areas that TUSLA have. Where clients are referred from.
You might stick those headphones on and you can inform me, are they too loud or are they okay? They're okay? All right, I don't want to blow your head off. Donna Harper joins me on the programme. Donna, how are you getting on? And thank you very much for speaking out on this issue with everything that you're going through. Thanks, Donna.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, so your reaction to this news that this service, the only service of its kind in Donegal, is being scrapped over €60,000 funding effectively. What's your reaction to this news?
Do you know what, Greg? When I first heard, I was very shocked, and it's very disappointing. The service is very vital for Letterkenny, for Donegal, because not alone is it just Letterkenny, they do have services in Creasla and Dunfanaghy, Eastern Order, Buncrana and so on. And not alone would it just be Letterkenny that's closed, and all them other places will be closed as well. You're talking about then mental health of young people and adults, and you see so much, Greg, on social media, TV, newspapers, encouraging people to go and talk to people about their mental health and so on. So if the government do not step up and give the pastoral centre the funding they need, where is the young people supposed to go? What are they supposed to do? and God forbid there could be serious consequences out of that
and
for
Donna,
families.
And Donna, in our conversations, soon after the awful Creeslot tragedy, which very sadly took the life of your beautiful daughter, at that point it was like, well, where's the supports, where are the services, and thankfully they were there. You were able to find the pastoral centre, and they did help you and your boys.
Pastoral centre is very important, not alone just for us and our boys, but for so many other families. Because of the tragedy that happened in Creeslough, it affected so many people throughout Donegal. So, and I do know that there's other people using the services as well in the pastoral centre for that. And it really has, it's really been a help to us as a family, for our family, and I know for so many other families as well.
Yeah. Okay, Donna, listen, thank you very much indeed. And just before you go, Liam, this is exactly what we were talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to hear the support from the likes of Donna, who knows firsthand how important the service is. And again, unfortunately, she had to learn that in the hard way, by losing her own daughter in an awful tragedy. But, there are other people out there as well, and they're probably listening in as well, who has availed of the services or who are currently.
We know they're there. Donna, listen, thanks again. I really appreciate it. Hope you're doing okay.
Okay, great.
Take
Thanks
care,
very
Donna.
much.
Doreen Sheridan Kennedy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's hard to believe. Would you agree that this service we could lose this vital service that so many people avail of, over €60,000 funding anyway for 2024? It's unacceptable, isn't it?
Well, I was in total shock yesterday when I read it on local press. But just to say, first of all, to congratulate Liam Cannon on the great work he's done for the last 14 years, and he's brought that service to a level that I'm sure is envious around the country, as was noted when they got the awards in relation to the work that they're doing. And also, to congratulate Donna there for coming on, because that's not an easy call to make today, in support of the services. But it's a question of this can't close. That would be my line on this. This cannot close. This service cannot go. This has to continue. And it is really up to the people who represent us on the HSE forum and elsewhere to get a hold of this and to get the funding. And if all we're talking about, as Liam has alluded to, is the salary to keep the person in permanent 5-day week leading this programme, well, then that's what has to be done. And it's pittance, really, in relation to money that's been spent. So really, I was horrified in this, and I just thought, this is something I must get my teeth into, and I certainly will. And in anything I can do, Liam, and support you in relation to moving this on, I just think this has to be taken by the public as much as by the public reps and the HSE. This cannot close. That's the end of it. I've seen families, I've seen children benefit hugely from the counselling services that have been offered, and the actual location of where it's at as well. And then when Liam refers to the various outlets throughout the county, you can see that we're not just this is not just Letterkenny service, this is a county service, and it's vital that it's kept open, and whatever means it takes, I'm sure that the people who represent us now in our local government and in our national government will just have to stand up and find money.
Yeah, but this should be sorted today. Doreen Sheridan, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
Doreen Sheridan Kennedy. We should be talking about, what we should be talking about here is you coming in, and we're recognising what you've done in establishing this. This is the way this conversation should be going. And we should also be talking about how it's gone from a 1-day directorship that you've been doing to a 5-day that's being funded, and that the hope is now that the new person coming in will have more time to talk about funding, growing the service, improving the network, maybe a reach out to Donegal Town or something.
Yeah.
Instead of, my concern is if this falls to bits and the councillors, the 26 councillors go on to do different things, I don't believe that this would be very easy to put back together again.
Yeah, completely.
So I think we've got a really short window to say, right, okay, someone's dropped the ball here, let's sort this out. Because I think if this goes, it goes. Because I wouldn't like to try and bring it back together in its current form again.
Yeah, well, look, I think we've got a unique service It has taken years to develop. That was my role there, was to develop the model, that we deliver, and that's what's being recognised. So if we dismantle this and abandon it at the moment, it's going to take another 14 or 15 years to build up, and we're stepping back in time here, and I think we really need to recognise that. And if we look at, even just anything in social media or on TV or anything now at the minute, it's talking about mental health, and it's about really reaching out, and if we keep breaking these services down, why are we having campaigns?
Yeah. Just to be clear, for those switching on, we're talking about the potential closure, unless someone pulls their finger out, of Donegal's only child and adolescent counselling services. We've been in contact with the HSE, with TUSLA, not really satisfied with their response, but they are what they are. And we've also made contact with the Minister for Agriculture's office, the Donegal Minister. Look, we have to put this into context in the amount of money that's being spent in this country on so many different things. The easiest thing to do in the world is to pitch our children perhaps against immigrants or something, okay? There's no money being taken from this service to being given to immigrants. Those are separate issues. But there is money being given to everything left, right and centre. Football pitches, greyhounds, horses. That's grand, that's fine. 27 million, 20 million, 25 million. We're talking about 60,000 euro. I have to take one very quick break. You'll stay with me. The Bishop, Alan McGuckian's going to join us, as well as Aintu Rep Mary T. Sweeney, because a lot of people obviously very disturbed by this information. So Liam's going to stay with us. We're going to take a break, stay with this issue. Hey, someone needs to come up with a solution to this, someone who has the influence and power, and we hope they do so today. We'll be back with more after this break.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Why leave all the magic moments or great scenes you've captured on your phone sitting there or in the cloud when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using the McGee's app or one of the in-store kiosks, you can upload your photos from your phone, Google Photos, Facebook or Instagram, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or in by 10 and ready by 5. See mcgees.ie for more details. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Kirsteach hervisi cheadún is fólamóide agus tamána líne, le na náiritar anúchan ústátú málartú agus áhallahar. Tá sé éasca agus is féidir dhéanamh gan stró. Tuair cuairt an seirbhís náisiúnta cheadún is tamána líne an jobhag ndls.rsa.ie. Mai go bhaidí devna a tastal, teachtrocht an údarás am havaltocht Wodi.
Watson Menswear's Big January sale is now on, in store and online, with great discounts across top names in menswear, like Andre, Tom Penn and Rimazumo. Also big savings on Superdry, Penguin and Tommy Bow footwear. Don't miss out on some great bargains in the Big January sale, now on at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com. We often make New Year's resolutions involving healthy eating, only to then break them. Well, at Kelly Centra, they've put together some easy, healthy eating tips, like keeping an eye on your saturated fat intake. It's often tough to cook up a convenient meal that ticks all the health boxes, so why not check out Kelly's range of ready meals, many low in saturated fats and high in flavour. Healthy eating tips from Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's 11:34. Bishop Alan McGuckian is with us. Bishop, thank you very much for your time today. I do appreciate you talking on this very, very important issue. We've been listening over the last half an hour as to how vital this service is and the devastating impact it will have on young people and their families if it is to, as we fear, to be lost. I'm sure, Bishop, you are in full support of the retention of this service.
Oh, of course, my goodness. It's something we are just, our heart is completely in and incredibly proud of. the fact that, like, this thing started 30 years ago in the Pastoral Centre with Sister Mary O'Donovan, just reaching out to people who were coming in need, and there was obviously need for counselling, and that was where it started. It started small and then just grew and grew in response to need, to the point where the diocese recognised that it needed to go on to a more professional basis, and that was when Liam was, Liam can maybe correct us, but I think Liam was headhunted and under him, because of the terrible, phenomenal need, and particularly for children, but for adults as well, it has grown and grown, and it is an extraordinary service in the county that we're proud of and just recognise a great need for.
And the thing is, too, it has grown, as you say, quite rightly, off the back of demand. With a full-time director as well, Liam has done amazing work. With a full-time director as well, we should actually, and as I said this to Liam a little earlier, we could actually be talking about how it could grow even further. The waiting lists can be reduced, and it can even further match the needs of the population. And instead, we're talking about this collapsing off the back of a €60,000 investment in 2024. It's heartbreaking.
No, exactly. No, and I think there is also more to it than that. There is, of course, the immediate need for a full-time director. Liam is going, and he should have been able to get away months ago, and has very generously hung on just to keep us going. But we have been recognising for a number of years, on advice from Liam, that the whole thing needs to be on a more firm basis. Remember, even now, much of the important background work is done by very generous voluntary people. Individuals, and one in particular who comes in and works voluntarily. People on CE schemes who are doing a fantastic job. Diocesan staff who, on top of other things, are chipping in to, whether it's answer the phone or just do all of the things that are necessary to keep this very big service going. And we recognised a couple of years ago that this is not a foundation for the long term. And consequently, we encouraged Liam and others to look about establishing an entity that would carry this on a really professional basis that could be independent from the diocese. And they were gathered, and we met with them from time to time, very, very gifted people in the field, aimed at putting a really firm basis under this here, called Tyrconnell Counselling and Psychotherapy Services. And they hit the brick wall some months ago, saying,
I take it, Bishop, that the diocese cannot financially support these services.
No. What I'm saying, immediately there's something like 60 or 70,000 needed right now annually. But I'm saying, for the thing to be done properly, there's a full-time director, there's a full-time coordinator, and as I say, so much of that work is currently being done voluntary and on the side. And like the diocese already, every year throughout all the years, the diocese has put money in.
No, I understand that, Bishop. And also, too, again, this is a service that both TUSLA and the HSE refer to. That's one of the more remarkable things in this, and they can't find it within their multi-million euro budgets to provide the initial funding at least. And let's see where we can build it from there. Bishop McGuckian, thank you very much for your time. Mary T. Sweeney and Ain't 2 Rep, good morning to you. Are you there, Mary T?
Good morning. Can I just say that when I read this in the early hours this morning, between last night and this morning, word came through to me. One of the people that first reached out to me was the grandmother that was absolutely distraught. She had a daughter with 3 children going through a terrible time, and there was no access, no doors open to her. And through the pastoral centre, it was an absolute lifeline for her and for the young people with drug addictions and with different facilities. The facilities they offer there is phenomenal. And I have to thank the parish council and the bishop for the input that they provide towards that, which goes on unrecognised, really. And I would appeal to all the sitting councillors and the politicians across the county. This cannot be allowed to fail, and it must be reinforced. It's not just enough to provide the 60,000. We must look at the exact funding that this costs to make sure that it is actually expanded upon. Yeah. Because the amount of mental health, even with the rise of, to hear this week that they're closing the mental health facility up in Carndonagh. I'm also told that they're intending to close the one in Dunlow. We've already heard last April that they're closing one, the unit in Stranorder. Like, where are we going? Is this Letterkenny, Donegal at the bottom of the pile again that nobody cares?
I just don't understand why I don't understand why we have to keep fighting for the support of these types of services up here. It's a constant battle. We've had it over the years with the likes of iCare, with the likes of the Blue Stack Foundation, with the likes of the domestic violence services in Buncrana, or in Ishone, more generally speaking. I just cannot understand why we're playing whack-a-mole with issues that affect people so deeply. Is there one quick final point you wanted to make there, Mary T? Because I do need to go to other callers.
I think that this is a direct attack on the mental health services for the people of Donegal, and the people of Donegal need to flood your station today and flood their politicians. When you think they're sitting on the Grace report for 5 years and not a word about it, and how much of those people that are investigating not getting paid? Right. One of their wages, you see NGOs, you see CEOs of charities getting 300,000 for a wage. Of not good enough. We need the HSE. Look at the funding. Look at the waste of money on the photocopier trying to put it into a room.
I respect exactly everything you're saying and where other money is being spent. But even if that were to continue, there's €60,000 no problem in the country's finances to cover this. And I take your point. Thank you very much indeed. Rachel, you would be concerned that this service could be lost because it could be lost to someone very important to you.
Yeah, I have a son now that he'd lost two very, very close people to him in a very, very short space of time. His mental health deteriorated really, really, really bad. I spent ages then through the HSE trying to get him sorted. We did eventually get to see a psychologist. My husband took him up the day of the psychologist, and the husband came back and he says he may benefit from bereavement counselling. I said, was he referred? And he said, no. So
that was just a diagnosis. There was no solution for you. That was just saying...
there was no help, And I had rang back the psychologist and I had kind of said, this kid here is suicidal. This is the problems he's having. He goes, oh, well, he was happy today. He goes, that's what I base my judgment on. And he said he might benefit bereavement counselling, and I said, well, can you refer him? And he says, oh no, you can look into that yourself. So I was absolutely livid at that stage. When I googled, then I came across the pastoral centre and rang them up, and once I had told them everything my son had gone through, they had him in their centre within a week. And since he started with them, they've been absolutely amazing. But we really, really cannot lose this because it's the only thing kids have here in Donegal. It's the only service.
What would your son do if this service stops this week? I mean, you'd be very worried about that, and
extremely worried. And he was most nights too. He was crying at night time. Most nights too, he was crying at night time, and he has really, really come on leaps and bounds since he started attending his counsellor, and it's gobsmacking to think that this is going to go. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing for our kids in Donegal. There's nothing. This is the only service we have up here for them.
Quite literally, yeah.
There's nothing.
Okay, listen, hopefully common sense surely has to prevail. I hope your son continues to improve, and it's great that he has. It sounds like he's gone through an awful time for a young lad. Hopefully he continues to get the help and support through these services going forward, Rachel, and he'll go into his 20s and beyond in a much stronger position. Thank you. Thanks for helping us. I get the message across. Liam, I suppose to recap, what more can we do? We've got the bishop saying we need to retain this service, we need to grow. We've got politicians saying that this can't be allowed to happen. But the most important voice of all is that of Rachel and Donna to me, people that have and are engaging with this service and would be very concerned for the well-being of their young people if this kind of a service is discontinued. Again, I can't reiterate enough how important it is that everybody listening takes an interest in this issue, because there's not an awful lot of things we can affect. I think we can probably do something with this one.
Yeah, well, Greg, I think when you hear the likes of Donna speak, and Rachel speak, and the importance of what they're benefiting, their child or their young person is benefiting from, or their family's benefiting from. And let's just, I suppose, take for a second, when a child or a young person comes in, the family benefit, the community benefits, the school benefits, everybody benefits, because if that young person's not happy, they're not happy at home, they're not happy at school, they're not happy, anywhere. And so these services are vital, for those families.
I'm going to make you stay there just for one more second, if that's
Sure.
all right.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
It's the big brand sale at Super Value, and there's great special offers like selected cupboard fillers like Fibre One, Belvita biscuits, and Jacob's rice cakes, any 3 for €5. Exclusive to Real Rewards members only. Plus, get money off vouchers every week on the app. So don't miss our big brand sale and pop in store or online for great savings at Super Value. T's and C's apply.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Imagine Broadband's January sale is here. Grab our Hero high-speed broadband package for just $49.99 per month. Act fast. Sign up before January 31st to enjoy a massive €180 in savings. Head to imagine.ie or free phone us on 1800 938 407 to upgrade to faster broadband faster. Subject to location and availability. Minimum 18-month contract. Activation fees and annual price increase of CPI plus 3% applies. See imagine.ie for full terms and conditions.
I'm making a move. Looking for real choice? Leave diesel behind and make the move to Toyota Hybrid Electric at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. World-leading hybrid electric technology, lower emissions driving, with the widest choice of hybrid electric models from Ireland's best-selling car brand. With flexible payment options available, make the move today at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world.
Come along to the 2024 Clanry Hotel Wedding Fair on Sunday the 21st of January. Plan your dream wedding with us this Sunday 21st from 1 to 5 p.m. with suppliers in attendance. The Clanry Hotel Wedding Fair, the Northwest's leading wedding venue.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Okay, we are talking about the potential loss of Donegal's only child and adolescent counselling service. It's delivered across the county by a non-profit, Rafo Dyson Centre in Letterkenny. There are also outreaches in Dunfanaghy, Stranola, Creasla, Buncrana, Carndana and Dunlow. The service provides has 26 counsellors and has delivered thousands upon thousands of counselling sessions to young adults and children in need of the support. But it is on the brink of collapse because the TUSLA or the HSE can't find the €60,000 that would be required to appoint a full-time director, which is required because of governance and what have you, and because of the scale of this organisation now to keep it going. So all of that could be lost. And we're at a point, and I'll put it to Liam Cannon, who's in studio with me, and he didn't disagree, that if this breaks up at this point now, you know, it would be very hard to even start putting it back together in a month or 2 or 3 months. I think we've got a very, very short window. We've contacted the HSE TUSLA. Minister Charlie McConalogue is the top-ranked politician in terms of influence in this county to see what his office might be able to do about it. And lots of people out there really shocked by this move. But Duncan, you think that you don't believe that, especially you're not of the view that a service that TUSLA and the HSE refer people to should be funded by them. You think there should be other ways of funding this, do you?
Well, as I experienced growing up here in Letterkenny, is it from my childhood, especially in national school and so on, all the funding to the church was gathered within the community, not through the government. And the community itself worked pretty hard to raise that money. for the schools and also for other services to do with the church.
You were of the view then that you believe the church itself should be funding this?
Well, as the church, like, I mean, not just as the church, as the people of Letterkenny have raised this money across the board.
Mm-hmm.
They've reached out to other churches within the community as well. We all help each other out.
Yeah. Okay, I get you, Duncan. Listen, thank you very much for that. This is a service that goes far beyond Letterkenny. Just to some comments here. This is the kind of service that's so necessary, especially regarding relationship breakdowns, addiction, domestic abuse, parental alienation and so on. Government once again blind to society's needs, or is it just Donegal needs? Many aspects of the counselling services on a voluntary basis. The church is also providing the accommodation which needs updating, yeah, indeed, and maybe we heard from the bishop that he wants it to be sort of independent, that it's outgrown its current structures. A caller says, our son Shamey, who's no longer with us, spoke highly of Liam. He will be a big loss to this service. This service is needed now more than ever. It has to be saved. Another here, the centre has had people come to its front doors in distress asking for help as the hospital couldn't help, and people seen them then and there. That's the level of service it provides, and on it goes. And I mean, like, I get people's are very well intended in saying, oh, well, the Catholic Church should fund this, or there should be a fundraiser or whatever. And I understand that. But also, we can't keep relieving the state of its responsibilities either. This is a service, as I mentioned, that the HSE and TUSLA refer to, that it's the only service of its kind. If it wasn't here, then extra pressure goes on CAMS and other services as well. I get where people are coming from, Liam, right? But there comes a point too whereby the scale of a service has to be recognised, its direction has to be recognised, and the government has to find €60,000 in the first instance to support it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose just going back to Duncan's call there, you know, I mean, the church is supporting this and has supported this all the way through, but it's at the point where this service needs to stand on its own 2 feet as an independent service. And I think that's why we have a government, and that's why we have public funding to support these services, because this service has the potential to provide, twice the amount of work that it is. It's not that we don't have waiting lists, absolutely, but we can't do that at a community level any longer. We've got to have, proper national funding behind us in order for it to stand alone as a service. And as I said, what we have to remember here is we do have the only model of this kind in Ireland, and we should be valuing that. We should be praising that. We should be actually making sure, as you say, that we're actually increasing the funding.
For sure. And listen, Roderick O'Gorman has a responsibility in this area, Caroline. I'm sure we've contacted the Minister for Children, Roderick O'Gorman, as well. He has got a very broad portfolio with an awful lot of money being spent out of his various departments, okay? If he can't impress the importance of this on TUSLA, well, then maybe his own department can fund it. It is a department of children, okay? And this is children we're talking about here as well as adolescents. Okay, listen, I'm going to let you go, Liam. I want you to stay in contact with us. We're going to keep the pressure on as much as we can as well. It's not one that's going to go away. What's the time frame here? Like, you've had a meeting with staff yesterday. You've informed them. Is there a caveat here? Is there a window that we have to turn this around? Because it will take a while to appoint a director, for an example, right? So you're going to have to give us another day a week for a while. I am. If we find the money, you're committing to that.
Look, Greg, as I said, I should have been gone on the 2nd of January.
But you're still here.
But I'm still here. And as I said, we, as a team down there, and as myself as director down there, I put years into this. If it takes another few weeks to get all this started, I'm very happy to stay there. I can't leave it hanging because it's very personal.
Of course, look what it's grown from, and I think and the tribute was paid to you by the bishop, which
completely.
You can't get much higher praise than that.
Yeah, well, for me, I think when I spoke with the staff yesterday, to all the councillors yesterday, I was given sort of mid-March as closing. You know, so
Right,
that,
okay.
that, you know,
So we have a window.
But we have a window. But you know, as I said, you know, if you know, funders are coming forward and talking to us and putting something in place, well, rather than closing, then we're looking at trying to recruit a new director.
No, I get that.
Which I'll stay until that's complete.
But that
you know.
process has to be greenlit.
Yes.
So
yes.
you know, regardless, you don't need this. Not you. Or any 60 grand doesn't need to be put on the table here. The position of a director needs to be greenlit in terms of funding.
Yeah,
€60,000, and that would retain the service. Liam, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much, Greg.
Back with the weather after these.
Return, refund, recycled. Ireland's deposit return scheme is coming. From the 1st of February 2024, when you buy a drink in a bottle or can with the return logo, you'll pay a small deposit. Once you're refreshed, return your empty, undamaged bottle or can to any shop or supermarket and get your deposit back. The result? Less litter, less waste, and better recycling for Ireland. For more, visit return.ie.
January Super Savers at Homeland. Barry's Tea 600 cups only $19.99. Nutrius Complete Nutrition Dog and Cat Food save 20%. Flowgas 75-pound propane cylinder only $64.99. Regatta Clothing save 20% across all lines. Shop all offers in store and online at homeland.ie. Offers available until January 21st.
Fabric World Maydown Derry biggest ever winter sale now on trend and in stock curtain and upholstery fabrics all on sale. Over 3,000 metres now half price or less. Free curtain design ready-made curtains up to half price and lining from £1 with fabulous rates on the Euro in store at Fabric World Maydown Derry.
Mr. Blue Sky. Wednesday's Lotto jackpot is an estimated €13 million. So, what's the first thing you'd do at €13 million? That is genius. Better get a ticket, so. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
So he was like messaging me all night and then he just ghosted me.
No way.
Yeah. He was like, "You're so hot. I want to come over."
Okay.
And I was like, "Cool." And he was like, "I'm on my way, driving over right now."
And then?
Nothing.
Phone use while driving can be deadly. Your phone, it won't kill you to put it away. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, I'll leave you with the moderate weather warning issue.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your...
Okay, so I'll leave you with just this weather warning. Very cold this evening, tonight and on Wednesday morning with a severe frost and icy stretches. The impacts, difficult travelling conditions, low temperature issues for vulnerable people and animal welfare issues. Back tomorrow with the comments that we didn't get to. We'll continue our coverage of that story as well. And that and much more besides. John Bresson's next around the Northwest.
The big winter sale is now on at Ben Sweeney Euronics in Letterkenny and Dunloe. With the Samsung Jet 60 cordless vacuum cleaner,